dated.
And a new romance already doomed?
You're screwing up a lot of families. You understand what's down the road for you?
Judge Judy.
Stick to one woman.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Delvin McDonald and fiancée Brianne Copici are suing Vanessa Ray for bail money due to a false arrest, missed work, harassment, and emotional distress.
Order. All rise. That's case number 209 on the calendar, the matter of Copici McDonald versus Ray.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
What's your last name, sir?
McDonald.
Mr. McDonald, your co-plaintiff is your fiancée. Is
Yes,
that right?
Your Honor.
You live together.
Yes, Your Honor.
And the defendant used to be your girlfriend, and you lived together.
No, Your Honor. She was my roommate.
Well, she maybe thinks she was more than your roommate. That's what I get from her answer. Were you just roommates, or did you date?
We shared a bedroom for the last 2 years. We were raising our children together. We lived together, yes.
Okay. When you say raising your children together, do you have biological children together with Mr. McDonald?
No, I have 2 children of my own, and Mr. McDonald has his son.
Did your son live in the house with Miss Ray?
Yes, Your Honor.
And along with her 2 children?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did there ever come a time when you and Miss Ray lived together in the same bedroom?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, perfect. Did you contribute to the rent?
Yes, Your Honor.
How much?
The one-bedroom apartment that we lived in, I contributed...
Just a second. So you lived in a one-bedroom apartment with the
yes, when I
3
first
children?
moved in. Yes.
And where did your son sleep?
He slept in a bed along with her children as well.
So you mean 5 of you slept in the same bed?
No, it was 2 beds in one room.
I'm just getting some background before I get to the case because, Mr. McDonald, I like to know the people that I'm dealing with.
Okay.
So you have a son?
Yes, I do.
How old?
He's 10 years old.
How long did you know Miss Ray before you moved in with her?
A little over a year.
So she was your girlfriend?
No, she was my friend.
You don't move into a one-bedroom apartment with 3 children, with one bedroom that you share with a friend. If it doesn't make sense, it's usually not true. Now, Miss Copici?
Yes, Your Honor.
You have children?
Yes, ma'am.
How many?
I have 2.
Any more on the way?
I have 1 on the way.
Mr. McDonald, the father of that child?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you meet Mr. McDonald?
I met him over 2 years ago. It'll be June.
And when did he...
Friends. We did
He
hang
has
out.
a lot of friends.
Well, now we're here with baby, so we're different, fiancé, whatever.
That just makes you a pregnant friend.
Maybe.
That doesn't make you a wife friend. That makes you a pregnant friend. Okay, let's go. Just give me the date that you moved in together.
For me, September of 2014.
And when did he move out of your house?
He moved out of my house on September 19th of 2014.
So he moved from your house
Straight
directly into her
home.
house?
Yes.
Now, Miss Ray, because when it comes down to it, this is a case where the 2 girlfriends got into a kerfuffle at the school of your children, your son and your 2 children, and you were arrested, and then they dismissed the case, but she had to bail you out, and so that's what you're suing for, and you're suing for an assault and for missing work and whatever. But so I'm going to ask you a couple of questions.
Okay.
This incident took place on what date?
May 24th.
Now, at that time, he had been gone for 2 years.
Correct.
Now, in the 2 years that he's been gone and clearly developed more than a friendship with Miss Copici, what contact have you had with him?
We spoke daily.
On the telephone, text?
Via text every morning. Good morning, good
morning.
night.
I'd love to see a couple of them.
I deleted Miss Restraining Order.
Well, you got your restraining order in what month and year?
I got my restraining order from Mr. McDonald in June.
Of what year?
Of this year.
Between 2014, September, and May of 2016, did you have any contact with Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Now, you said to me you had daily contact.
Yes.
I said, I want to see it. You said, because it was by text, you said, I deleted it. Doesn't make sense to me. If you are going to sue him for everything that you're suing him for, why would you, within the last 8 weeks, delete all the text messages from him?
Your Honor, I've been to court with Miss Copici and Mr. McDonald on 4 separate occasions. So this is not the first time.
That's just good, great. That's even more reason not to delete any evidence. So let's just say it's true, which I don't believe, by the way. Neither does this lady, who was your mother, right? I know it's your mother, it's one face. He would write you every morning, good morning, and did you ever respond to him?
I stopped responding to Mr. McDonald after May 24th.
So the answer is for 2 years you did respond to him.
Yes.
And since we're writing a novel here, a work of fiction, what did you respond to him?
Messages about anything.
Come on,
Yeah, no, about anything, about the day, about our children, about what was going on, about his relationship with Miss Capici, about their arguments, things like that. He would always come ask me what I thought, blah, blah, blah. We would have conversations about my life, my family, things like that. I never believed that Mr. McDonald stalked me or harassed me up until that point. We started to argue in the month of May, and it led to all this happening.
Just a second. What were you arguing about in the month of May?
Because I told Mr. McDonald that I was done with his bullying. He would text me and he would ask me...
You know, even your mother is rolling her eyes. I have to tell you, I'm just letting you know. Now, I want to know, on May 24th, was there an open school day at school?
Yes.
That's the same school where your son go to school there?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do your children go to school there? No. What kind of open school period was it on May 24th?
It was open house. You go to the school and then the kids show you what they've done throughout the year, projects, works of art and things of that nature.
Had you in any way, Mr. McDonald, communicated with Miss Ray that you were going to be there that day?
No, I haven't spoken. I actually didn't speak with her since May 12th, actually.
What did you...
For some advice, I told her, I gave you advice. It was about a car or something that supposedly she had wanted to purchase.
At that point, had you told her that your fiancée was pregnant?
My fiancée wasn't pregnant at the time.
Okay. Between 2014 and 2016, did you maintain contact with Miss Ray?
Yeah, we were friends.
Do you know what it was that changed that?
I guess her pursuit, because she constantly, regardless, because I never gave her the title, quote unquote, what she always asked for, because we were just friends, and she saw me move on with my life. She tried to, you know, she got involved in my life. A lot of relationships that I had, like I said, we were roommates. I dated people while I lived there because she was my roommate.
Well, you also lived with her in the same bedroom.
Only because it was a one bedroom. But I didn't always stay there, though. I didn't always sleep in that bed, though. I used to sleep in the living room a lot, on the floor, actually.
Are you suggesting to me, Mr. McDonald, that you never had an intimate relationship with her?
The first night in my cousin's truck, yes, I did, Your Honor.
In what year?
Wow.
That was 2013, 12, something like that.
Now, are you suggesting to me in the time that you lived with her, you did not have an intimate relationship with her?
When I wasn't dating anybody.
So you had an on and off intimate relationship with her?
Off and on, yes.
I just want to tell you what's down the road for you.
For you.
Do you understand?
Definitely.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You seem to be prepared to tell me that you are a scoundrel, that you're God's gift so you can live with one, you can go out and date somebody else. When I'm not dating somebody else, I can come back and sleep in her bedroom. And I'm telling you, it's not fine.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Delvon McDonald and fiancée Brianne Copici claim Delvon's former roommate, Vanessa Ray, had him falsely arrested. Vanessa has a countersuit for an assault.
Now, you have an ordinary guy who is being pursued by at least 2 women at the same time. Because if he's moved on in his life from you, and you can't let it go, and just say, listen, I can find another winner like this anywhere. Right? But you continue to have daily discussions with him and call him up about advice about buying a car and give him advice about his girlfriend, and you get advice from him. Go to a therapist. But I want to know what happened. And I actually think now that the only person I'm going to get an accurate answer from is you, Mr. McDonald, because you seem to be prepared to tell me that you are a scoundrel, that you're God's gift so you can live with somebody else. I can come back and sleep in her bedroom. Now I can go live with her and make a baby with her, but I can continue to have friendship with Miss Ray because it suits me. You seem to think that all of that is fine. And I'm telling you, it's not fine. It's too complicated. You don't look like you can handle it. I don't know about physically, that's not my business. Emotionally, psychologically, you can't handle it. You're screwing up a lot of families. by thinking I can have a little one here, and I can have a piece here, and I can have a piece of the pie here, and I can go here, whatever. And you're living in some other world altogether. So now I know where I'm going to get my legitimate information, because now you know how I legitimately view you.
Yes.
Because I think you're going to tell me honestly what happened.
Yes.
And I'm not going to get that from them. First of all, did you, Mr. McDonald, ever key Miss Ray's car?
No, I did not, Your Honor.
I absolutely believe that. Did you ever flatten her tires?
No, Your Honor.
No. I'm not so sure about Miss Copici. I'm not even going to ask her. But there did come a time when you had your car keyed and your tires slashed, right?
Correct.
And did you file a police report
Yes, I
about
did.
it? And did you name the person who did it?
Yes.
And do you have a copy of that?
I
That
do.
one is the only one I'm interested in.
Okay. My apartment complex does have security cameras,
And
they
did you
saw
bring
a
me
gentleman.
Did you bring me that tape?
No.
Were you ever arrested for that crime?
No, I was not.
All right. So now on May 24th, you go to the school.
Yes, Your Honor.
And what happened when you went to the school to see your son's artwork?
Well, me and my family, me, my fiance, and my stepdaughter and my son, we went to the school to see my son's exhibits. And they had an intermission, so on the intermission, I went outside because I smoke cigarettes, so I went outside to have a cigarette.
It's not a good idea for you to smoke cigarettes, or you have a 10-year-old son that you have custody of, and if you're going to have another baby, it's not a good idea for you to smoke anymore.
I'll quit today then.
Perfect. Let's move on.
All right. So I was outside smoking a cigarette, and when I noticed Miss Soto Ray, I don't know how you guys have it, she comes around, and I see her, and I just glance over.
In a car or in person?
In a car. And as soon as I see her, she makes this face and she flips me off. So once she gets out the car, she starts like storming towards me, you know, like a loose rhino. And I'm like, I look over, so I'm like, what's going on? Like, and I call my girlfriend. I'm like, hey, get the kids, let's get out of here, because I think she's about to start something, you know. So she comes, she approaches me, and she was like,
what did she say?
She was like, you keyed my car. I know you did it. Blah, blah, blah. You messed my car up. And I was shocked. I was like, what are you talking about? Why would I key your car? You have nothing I want. I left you alone. Like, I have a beautiful fiance of regular size. Like, I'm cool.
Well, you didn't say all that to her.
Yeah, I did, though.
See, Your
Did
Honor?
you? Shh.
I did.
You did. Okay.
He's disrespectful. He's very disrespectful.
Listen to me. He doesn't have to be respectful or disrespectful of you. He's got another girl. You got to leave him alone.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
If somebody came to court and said, I want her to have an order of protection, I would say, no, I want to do a trial. I have nothing else to do today, and I'm going to do a trial on your ridiculous case, even though you're willing to consent to your adversary having an order of protection.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Delvon McDonald and fiancée Brianne Copici say Delvon's former roommate, Vanessa Ray, owes for a false arrest.
Go ahead. So what happened next?
And then she goes to hit me, right? So I'm like, what are you doing? And then my girlfriend at the time or whatever, she shows up with the kids, and they're on the curb right here. She's like, we're not going to do this here. And she was wearing a hat that said Bonnie on it, and I was wearing a hat that said Clyde, which she actually used to own. She actually used to own a hat. Oh, sorry. So she goes, she sees us both with the Bonnie and Clyde hat, because she used to have a Bonnie hat, and it upset her.
That you bought me.
Okay. Snatches it off my head, right? And like, you know, her hands are like bigger than mine. So when she grabs my hat, she pulls my head down, and then she pulls the hat off. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? So she goes like this. She turns to the side to, like, you know, keep me from going to reach for it. And she gets a hold of the hat, and then she finally gets a hold of the hat, and she pushes my girlfriend in the chest. And then she was like, you blah, 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 that's why boyfriend or something like that. And then her mom came.
Whose mom?
Vanessa's mom.
Your last name is?
Soto?
Ms. Soto, you there looking at your grandchildren's artwork?
Yes, like I do every year, yes.
That's what you were there for?
Yes.
Were you in the school or outside of the school?
Actually, I was approaching the school, so I was still outside of the school. I hadn't gone in yet when I saw my daughter talking to Mr. McDonald. And I hurried to park because I knew what had happened a couple of days before, that he had keyed her car.
He didn't key her car. There was no proof that he keyed her car.
Yes, but there's no evidence that he did not do it either.
There's no evidence that her didn't do it. And your daughter is a little bit high energy. There may be a lot of people. What I don't understand is, with this man who's off involved with somebody else. end it and you move on.
Correct.
Especially when you have somebody who treats these relationships very casually. Sadly, women don't treat those relationships very casually. Now, you have a claim for assault. Did you go to a hospital?
No, ma'am.
Yeah, good. And you got in between this fight.
Your Honor, I didn't technically get involved. I was saying that we weren't doing this. She didn't like it, and so she put her hands on me.
Yeah, she put her hands on you. I know, which she's not allowed to do.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, you went to court with regard to protective orders.
Yes, ma'am.
Was there a trial?
Yes.
Were you granted a protective order against her?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
For how long?
For 1 year.
Did you testify at that trial?
Yes.
And the judge, after the trial, granted the plaintiff a protective order against you so that you have to stay away from her.
Yes, I told the judge to give it to her.
No, that's not true. If you told
Yes,
the
I
judge,
did.
Hey, listen to me carefully. If somebody came to court and said, I want her to have an order of protection, I would say, no, I want to do a trial. I have nothing else to do today. I got 900 people outside who want my time, and I'm going to do a trial on your ridiculous case, even though you're willing to consent to your adversary having an order of protection. They no longer have those kinds of crazy judges on the bench or against you. Now, did you go to trial with regard to your application for an order of protection against Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
And what happened with that case?
I won a restraining order against Mr. McDonald due to harassment for 18 months.
Don't. You testified.
Yes.
And he testified.
Right.
And the judge granted you
Right.
a protective order.
Correct.
For 18 months.
Correct.
Correct?
Correct.
So now we know we have to stay away from each other. Anything happened since that time?
A little bit.
What?
She drives past the house, she makes faces and stuff like that.
It should be on record. If that happens again, I would suggest that you videotape it and bring it to the police and have her arrested for violating the order of protection.
Yes, Your Honor, and I also was granted a restraining order as well against Mr. McDonald. After he assaulted my daughter, he verbally assaulted me and threatened my family.
Did she go to the hospital?
No.
She approached him.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Are you the victim of an assault? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, she approached him furious because she believed that after he keyed her car, for whatever reason, I don't care. And she confronted him. Instead of leaving it up to the authorities to deal with, she got out of her car, and instead of going into the school like she was supposed to, like you were doing,
Correct.
She confronted him.
Right, and we never denied that from the beginning. That's
very
always been
good.
the truth.
Very
Yes.
good. So your case is
I would
dismissed.
stand by the truth.
Just a second. The truth is,
Yes.
you shouldn't have gotten involved.
Myself?
Yes.
When I saw him attacking my daughter as a mother, what am I to do? A man should never touch a woman.
No, in my way of thinking,
Right.
one human being should not attack another human
She
being.
did not attack. She took his hat off, Your Honor.
Sit down. We're done. You and I are done.
Thank you.
Sit down. Your counterclaim is dismissed. So is your claim. We're done.
Thank you.
Stick to one woman.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
We're done.
Thank you. That's all that matters. Goodbye.
Now let's talk about the burnt couch that I saw. Do you know how that happened?
No idea.
A cohabiting couple gets fired up.
She has people over all the time. It could have been a number of her friends. She's also a fire dancer.
No one fire dances indoors. That's absurd.
And a relationship goes down in flames.
You're drunk all the time anyway.
You're twice as drunk and half as attractive.
Cool.
I'm not liking the two of you, actually.
Judge Judy.
Of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Lauren Glenn is suing her ex-girlfriend, Brittany Kittredge, for rent and a burned couch.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 137 on the calendar in the matter of Glenn versus Kittredge.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Miss Glenn, you and Miss Kittredge lived together as a couple for how long?
Yes, Your Honor, we did for about 12 months.
You don't have to lean over.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did you move into an apartment together, or did she move into your apartment? Or
She moved into my apartment.
Okay, how long had you been living there?
I had been living there for about 2 years prior.
Were you living there alone or with somebody else?
I was living there alone. I actually had a roommate for probably about 5 months, but
But you were living alone.
yeah.
She moved in on what date?
February of 2015.
Is that right?
Yes.
And is that when you became a couple? When you
No,
moved
we
in?
were a couple previous before that. Sorry.
Ms. Kitteridge, when you moved in, what were the financial arrangements?
We were just going to split the rent, which was $1,100. So we were going to pay $550 each.
When did you move out?
I moved out mid-May, like I feel around the 12th.
That's actually false, Your Honor.
No, listen to me. First of all, don't bend over again. Second of all, wait. Okay, so this is what the case is about. It is Miss Glenn's claim that you owe her some rent. You had a fight. You moved out. You owe her some rent. And in addition to owing her some rent, that you burnt her sofa. She acknowledges that after you burnt her sofa, she changed the locks in the apartment and threw your stuff out.
Yeah.
And your counterclaim is for the stuff that was ruined as a result of her throwing it out.
Correct.
So that's what I have. Okay. Did you pay her May's rent?
No, I didn't pay her May's rent.
Okay. And you lived there until the 12th?
The 12th, yeah.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding you leaving.
I left because we had broken up in the beginning of May, but we had agreed that I would be able to live there until the end of May until I found a place. And then I moved out early because she was just partying, having people over all the time, and started
it was uncomfortable.
dating someone. Yeah, in front of me. It was
Okay,
very
so it was
uncomfortable.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you left in mid-May on the 12th, did you take your property with you? Anything?
I took a bag, like a duffel bag of stuff.
When did you come back for your property?
I came back about a week later.
Did you have any contact with her during that week?
No.
When you came back for your property, where was it?
It was outside the house, and the locks were changed.
She tells in her complaint that you a couch when you went into the house. Did you do that?
No. I absolutely have no idea where she got that. You're also, like, she has people over all the time. So it could have been a number of her friends. She's also a fire dancer.
You did not. You came back a week later, and your stuff was outside and the locks were changed.
Yeah.
Is that what you're telling me?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, I want you to tell me, Miss Glenn, Miss Kitteridge left in mid-May.
She did. She left, like, after May 9th. I actually went out of town.
Just a second.
Okay.
How did you know, if you were out of town, that she left in mid-May?
She had a party with, like, a bunch of members of her, like, softball team, and, like, some of them...
Don't look at her. Look at me. Don't look at her.
Some of them told me about it, and actually, I have some evidence here.
Just talk to me. Talk to me. When I want
I'm sorry,
evidence...
Your Honor. I have some evidence here.
Just a second. Is what you're telling me that you heard from other people that she had a party?
Yes, but I texted her, and she didn't deny it.
Okay. So she had a party.
She did.
At the house where she was living.
She was living, but not paying rent, yes.
Well, did she pay April's rent?
She did not pay April's rent.
Did you pay April's rent?
I didn't pay April's rent.
Oh, well, when did you stop paying rent?
It was just April, and then I was outside ruined.
No, look at me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Your stuff wasn't outside ruined in April.
No, it wasn't.
Miss Kitteridge.
I was late.
So you didn't pay rent in all of April. That's
I didn't
not
pay
late.
rent in April, but we did have an agreement that I would pay her. I said I was going to pay her in the middle of May for April's rent and May's rent.
Just a second. You didn't pay April, so you owe her April's rent.
Yes.
I'm not interested in your social
Okay.
life. I couldn't give a rat's
know.
behind about your social life. This is a lawsuit.
Yeah.
You owe her April's rent, and you were there until mid-May, so you owe May's rent. Now, the only other part of your lawsuit is the sofa. I'd like to see pictures of the sofa.
Sure.
I also have a countersuit for all of my stuff that got ruined. I'm sorry.
What kind of... I'm not looking at you. Didn't you get...
Sorry, I apologize.
Your Honor, I have pictures of the sofa and also text messages kind of related to this. I'm sorry about my language.
You're talking about this mark here?
Yes.
Okay.
How would I even do that?
You're capable of almost anything, I would say.
I'm not liking the two of you.
I'm
actually.
sorry.
Sorry, Your Honor.
At all.
We like you.
Okay. Well, clearly something's wrong with two of the cushions on the sofa.
Did we already explain that you're a fire dancer?
I'm not looking at...
Absurd.
You're drunk all the time anyway.
You're twice as drunk and half as attractive.
Cool.
Tell them goodbye.
Goodbye. Parties are excused. You may step out.
We're done. Come back when you can learn to behave.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So you were paying her $785 a month.
I thought it was $550 a month, and the extra money I thought was for
but
utilities.
But you made a mistake.
Why would you do that twice?
$780. You're doing it again.
I'm sorry, I'm doing it.
You're doing it again.
And later today,
How much money did he give you?
$200
He picked up the trailer, and in exchange for the trailer, he gave you $200.
for initial payment.
You have that in a contract?
It was all verbal.
Well, that's a problem.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
In a case recalled from earlier today, Lauren Glenn says ex-girlfriend Brittany Kittredge owes for rent and a burned couch. Brittany is countersuing, also for property damage.
Judge, this is recall case number 137 in the matter of Glenn versus Kittredge. Parties are reminded you're still under oath.
Are you ladies ready to comport yourselves appropriately?
Yes,
Yes, Your Honor.
So sorry.
Good, great. $1,100 for 2 months' rent, the month of April that you didn't pay and the month of May that you didn't pay, and you were there part of the month of May. Now let's talk about the burnt couch that I saw. Do you know how that happened?
I honestly have no idea.
Do you have any proof that, look at me, do you have any proof that the defendant caused whatever damage exists to the 2 cushions on your couch?
I have a couple of text messages where she doesn't deny doing it.
That's not enough.
Okay. Well,
I mean, I read those text messages.
Yes.
Do you have any other text messages?
she called me and told me that
That what?
it happened. She said that, yes, I burnt it. You deserved it.
No, I don't believe that. Okay, she owes you $1,100 for rent. Now, when did you get home from your being away?
May 13th.
So the day after she moved out?
Yes.
You came home on May 13th. Now, do you have the bill from the locksmith?
I do not have the bill from the
On
locksmith.
what date did you call the locksmith?
I called him as soon as I came home, and I realized that
Just a second.
Okay.
You called him on the 13th.
Yes.
And tell me why you called the locksmith on the 13th.
Because I realized the couches were burned, and she refused to come and get her things. So
And she was what?
She refused to come and get her things.
Okay, so now she doesn't owe you for May's rent because you locked her out in $50.
It's $785, actually.
How much rent did she pay you in March of 2015?
$785.
Is that correct?
No, I don't know.
I have a...
Just a
Getting that
second.
number?
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, she says $550. You say her share was $785.
Mm-hmm.
Now, your entire rent on the apartment is what?
Our entire rent was, I think...
No, now you've been living... Listen to me, Miss Glenn. Now you've been living there by yourself. You should not have to think about what your rent is. That's very easy to find out from your landlord. How much is your rent?
I have a copy of our payments.
I'd like to see it.
I'm so sorry. It's $1,570.
Okay, so you were paying her $785 a month.
I thought that the total rent was $1,100, and it was $550 a month, and the
And that
extra
you made
money
a
I thought
mistake.
was for
but
utilities.
you made a mistake.
Why would you do that twice?
$780. You're doing it again.
I'm sorry. I won't do it
You're
anymore.
doing it again.
Sorry.
$785. That's what she owes you for the month of April. Month of May, you locked her out. She doesn't pay you anything for May. Now, let's talk about your counterclaim.
Yes, please.
When you change the keys, Lynn, I want you to tell me what you put outside. You acknowledge that you put her stuff outside.
I do,
what
yes.
specifically did you put outside?
I put a TV outside.
TV?
Yes.
Where did you put it?
I put it on our porch.
This is a condo or a private house? What is it?
It's like a house that's made into 2 condos.
Okay, so you put the TV outside. I'll see the bill for the TV. What else did you put outside?
I believe I put some of her boots and a guitar outside.
What else?
I think like a mitt and some clothes.
I have pictures of the other things if you would like to see them.
I'll take a look at it. What's wrong with the guitar?
Oh, it got rained on, and it doesn't work anymore, and it was all scratched. Like, all of my stuff got rained on because I didn't know she put it outside, or I would have came and got it.
There's a text
Just a
message.
second. Here we go. Here we go. You're not
Sorry.
following the
I'm so
drill.
sorry.
Sorry.
She put your stuff outside on the 13th of May. On what date did you come back to get it?
I think it was the 15th.
Did you ask for a police escort?
No, I didn't. I had my friend go with me. I didn't know that all my stuff was going to be outside. I thought I would just go and get my stuff.
Okay. Now, I'd like to see the text message that you were telling me about. You sent her a text message that you put her stuff outside?
I did, Your Honor.
I'd like to
Yes,
take
sir.
a look at it. Okay. So, Miss Glenn, she lives there just like you do. She had lived there for a year. According To you, she paid you $785 a month in rent for the time that she lived there,
Yes,
with
Your
the
Honor.
exception of the month of April. You have no right to put her out. There is no legal basis for you to put her out. By changing the locks and disposing of her stuff and putting it outside and rendering it subject to inclement weather, you are totally responsible for any damage that was done to the property.
She didn't pay me rent, so technically she didn't live there, right?
You just told me she paid you $785 a month.
Yeah, but not for the months prior to that.
No, she's still a tenant.
Okay.
And there are still avenues to go through, not throwing her stuff out on the street. That's not what you do.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
And later today,
And May 2nd of 2015 is when it was reported stolen, when I noticed that it was stolen.
Just a second.
there's no place
Just a
for it.
second. It's not stolen. The trailer belonged to his father, period. Sold. You're not getting the trailer back.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lauren Glenn says. And a burned couch. Brittany is countersuing. Also for property damage.
Okay, so the TV, you have bills for the guitar.
Yeah, there's receipts for, there's 2 guitars in there.
Guitar Center was, I can't read this.
I think it's $496. And I didn't have receipts for everything that was out there because I had it for a long time, so.
Well, she owed you $785 for the month of April's rent. I'm deducting that from what you owe her for her damaged property. So I'm dismissing your claim, and on the counterclaim, I'm awarding you $2,600. We're done here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Justice was served.
She totally owes me for rent, at least. Like the couch. Obviously she did.
She cheated on me.
She's seen a lady or two as well. Don't let her fool you.
Don't ever date a beautiful fire dancer.
She's a fun girl. Like, I'd like to be friends with her. Maybe. Down the line.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Espin versus Lee. Step forward.
Richard Espin is suing his friend's ex-husband, Robert Lee, for the return or value of farm equipment.
It is your claim that the defendant has certain property that was purchased by your father
It is correct.
from Mr. Lee's.
Correct.
Mr. and Mrs. Lee are now divorced. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And when your father passed away, you inherited the responsibility of going through all of his things. And I assume you have proof to show me that your father made an agreement with Mrs. Lee to purchase 2 pieces of a truck and a baler or something.
It was a trailer and a round bale hauler, and the proof that I have is witness testimony and a receipt.
A receipt from whom?
My witness, Mrs. Lee.
Okay, who is that? You? Okay. Mrs. Lee, can you tell me when you sold Mr. Espin's father this property?
We made the agreement in November of 2012.
Okay. Tell me the circumstances of the agreement. What were you selling him and for what price?
His father had wanted a cattle trailer and a round bale buggy, and I agreed to go ahead and sell it.
Were you neighbors?
No, we were really good friends. He had poor health, and I'm a home health registered nurse, so we had a very close relationship.
Also, Your Honor, we live in a small community.
Okay. And this property that you sold to him was on the property where you lived with your husband?
Yes, at that time.
And how much did you sell the property for?
A total of $1,400.
Did you receive the money from 2012?
2013 is when he came and picked up the cattle trailer is when he made a payment.
Just a second. You picked up the cattle trailer in what month and year?
It was around May 2013 after the land had dried up because it was real rainy and you couldn't get back there.
He picked up the trailer in May of 2013.
Yes, ma'am.
And how much money did he give you?
$200.
And how much was this buggy?
The cattle trailer for $900 and the buggy was $500.
So he only gave you $200. Why?
Well, he was a disabled vet, and we was really good friends. And
whatever. He picked up the trailer, and in exchange for the trailer, he gave you $200
for initial payment.
You have that in a contract?
It was all verbal.
Well, that's a problem. That's a problem.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay. So in exchange for that, you got $200. Now, in May of 2013, was your divorce pending?
No, we were still together.
And do you now have the trailer?
I have the stock trailer, but not the hay buggy.
Great. So I have, you own a trailer that was in your father's possession at the, unless you have evidence to the contrary, there was no order prohibiting anybody from selling that property.
There is, Your Honor.
Okay. In the divorce proceeding, sometimes there is an order, don't sell property. What's the date of that order?
December 16th is when it was, November 2014 is when it was, we went to court.
This was sold before.
No, ma'am.
You say no, ma'am. Just a minute.
We
you
split
say,
in 2012 of July.
I don't care. That's not relevant.
Right. I was on the pipeline, and May 2nd of 2015 is when it was reported stolen, when I noticed that it was stolen.
Just a second.
There's no place
Just
for
a second.
it.
It's not stolen. Let me put the trailer to rest. The trailer belonged to his father at the time of his death. He had paid $200 for it, period. Sold. You're not getting the trailer back. That's gone. Now, the only thing that we have to discuss is this hay buggy. The hay buggy is on your farm?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you pay any money for it?
Yes, I did.
To whom?
I paid it to my witness, Miss Lee.
Great. In what month and year?
That was in May of 2015 is when I solidified the debt that my father owed.
Very, very good. Then you sue her for the money back because he's keeping his hay buggy. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
The trailer is yours. He's not giving you any property. If you paid her any money, I suggest you sue her for it. Do we understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. We're done. Thank you.
Your Honor, can you look at my evidence?
Listen to me very carefully, sir. The trailer belonged to his father. You're not getting it back. The hay buggy is on your property where you live. It's yours. If he paid money for a hay buggy that his father doesn't have because he solidified the debt 3 years later, then let him sue the person who he gave the money to because she can't deliver the property. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
We're done. We're done.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Well, I was just trying to do the right thing by taking care of my father's debt.
My ex-wife had no right to sell it.
He was well aware of the sale. He was even there to open the gate to let the gentleman in to get the stuff.
I was in Oklahoma at the time.
It's vindictive behavior towards me because he's got so much anger.
For her to move.
Have it in writing.
Her dog's biting my dog, and I threw a kick at her.
Tries to get the last laugh.
You filed for this protective order. That is such a crock of nonsense. I would have thrown you out and told you to go see a therapist.
But the judge has a knack.
Did you pay this fine, Miss Morris?
No, I did not.
For wiping grins off faces.
Hopefully the city will put a lien on your house.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Tracy Franks is suing her neighbor, Diana Morris, for vet bills and lost wages due to a dog attack. She is also suing for an assault and false charges.
Order. All rise.
This is case number 151 on the calendar in the matter of Franks versus Morris.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Miss Franks, are you and Miss Morris neighbors?
Yes, we are.
You live in adjacent houses?
We live approximately 2 blocks away.
For how long?
Approximately going on 4 years now.
Prior to this incident that involved your car in October of last year, did you have any other incidents with Miss Morris?
Yes, I have.
When did they start and about what?
Approximately October 2004, passed her house, and she was approaching in her Jeep, I guess parking in her garage, which is in the alley access, and she was coming. Her dog jumped out and ran at us, me and my 2 Pomeranians, and then it retreated back to the Jeep, and she backed up.
We're not talking about the date of the incident that brings us here.
No, this is one prior incident.
So this is prior. This was a year before. more.
Yes, yes. The dog jumped out one other time. No attack, no nothing. Retreated back into the automobile. And then I turned around, went the other way, and proceeded home.
You had no conversation with her? No conversation.
Never seen her in person, ever.
So in the 4 years, this incident was the first one that you had before the incident that you're complaining of today?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And so I was again then walking my dogs, and as I was walking my dogs, she was out watering her hibiscus on her porch, and she started screaming and yelling at me, obscenities, telling me not to walk by her house. Her dogs were barking. My dogs were barking. I couldn't really hear a whole lot, so I said it was a free country. You never apologized for the first incident and your dog jumping out, and I continued on. And then on Halloween, which was Saturday, the 31st, I was walking my dogs again, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I come around the block up my street. The dogs are running back and forth across the fence. And this time I didn't hear that. I heard the dogs confined to her garage area. And I continued on, and as I was coming south down my road going home, she then came north in her big Jeep with big mud tires and veered all the way across the street, ran up on somebody's property, did a 180 around me. I had my dogs. I didn't know if I was getting ran over. My dogs, I was pulling them in.
Is what you're telling me she was home and went and got the dogs?
I believe that the dogs were confined in the garage and she was at home and waiting for me. She could probably hear me coming because all the dogs in the neighborhood bark at one another when you're walking them. So I think she was ready for me to come. And at that time when I came around the corner and she came with the Jeep, she came up, hopped these people's property, did a 180, parked like as if she was going to wash her car on their property. And at that time, the dog had jumped out from behind me.
What kind of dog?
She has cattle dogs, Australian Shepherds, or...
How did they get out of the car?
I didn't have my top on at the time. I took it off for the summer and then hadn't put it on yet.
How many do you have?
I have 4.
Okay, go ahead.
And as she... raking them in on their retractable leashes, pulling them in. At the same time behind me, one jumped out, and I was watching her come around, making sure I wasn't going to get ran over or my animals weren't going to get ran over. And she got up on that, and at the same time, her dog's biting my dog, and I threw a kick out and almost fell down, and she's cussing and screaming at me, telling me not to be walking my dogs by her place, anything like that. And I ran around, and I got her license plate from the back because there was not a front one. I ran home, called 911 at 1:10 and let them know what had happened. And she called 911 at 5:30 and claimed that it happened 20 minutes ago.
Okay. Do you have the reports, police reports?
I actually have the recordings.
Yeah, I would actually like to see the report if you have it.
I have numerous reports.
The one that came in at 1:10.
The one at 1:10 they did not give me, but this one on 11:3 it does specify that I did report it, and they came back out to see my dog. It does have the date of 10/31 highlighted on there.
Just a second. This date is what date?
11/3 I called animal control.
3 days later.
Yes, the incident happened on Saturday. Then I waited until Monday to take my dog to the vet and had to go to work and called animal control. And
I'd like to see the vet's write-up because you claimed that your dog was bitten. I'd like to see that.
The picture?
I'd like to see any evidence that you have of a dog bite and the vet's report.
There's all the pictures.
No, just show me the picture of the dog's injury and the vet report.
Okay, vet report. Here's the report.
No, this wasn't a bite. This is not a picture of a bite. Let's understand each other. The vet did surgery, but the vet did surgery on this dog for something else.
No, I have a prior picture of the abscess on that swelled up.
I want to see a picture on the 31st of a dog bite on your dog's face. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
I completely understand what you're saying.
Well, then let's get to it.
There was no blood. It has, if you look at the puncture wound on the face of the dog, and that's what swelled up.
Well, there was
just no blood.
I need a report from a vet that shows me. Certainly, this doesn't show any injury to the dog. I don't see any injury to the dog. Am I missing something?
The swelling on the side.
Am I missing something? Do you see any injury to the dog?
Not really. I just see swelling on that side.
Swelling?
At the bottom of the vet bill, it states that it was from a puncture wound.
I see what's typed in here.
Yes.
In a different type than the rest of the report.
That's from the Mays Animal Hospital. You could call him directly if you wanted to.
I'm not going to call him directly.
I didn't add that on there.
I'm not going to call him directly. You have a police report? Did you pay this fine, Miss Morris?
No, I did not.
Why?
Because they're false. Well, the thing is, he never comes out. I never get a warning. I just get the fines in the mail. I appealed it.
And what happened?
They assessed the order, and I tried to appeal the order. They keep on refusing my appeal.
So you have to pay this fine. Your dogs can't be out.
Well, they weren't out. They were actually in the Jeep with me.
No, they weren't. They weren't in the Jeep with you. They were out of your... I'm not sure about the nexus between the abscess that the dog had and what happened with your dog. I'm not sure, because certainly if I had dogs that I loved, like you love your dogs, and my dog was bitten on a Saturday, I would not wait till Monday to go to a vet.
I was unemployed.
I don't care. On Monday you went. Did you get a job between Saturday and Monday?
No, my mother paid for it.
She would have paid for it on Saturday, too. You went... You know, you have an answer for everything. Just like your mom paid for it on Monday, mom would have paid for it on Sunday.
I know.
Oh, I know.
ER's expensive.
So that doesn't do it for me.
Okay.
You understand?
No, I understand.
That doesn't excuse the fact that you can't drive around with your Jeep without the top on it, with your dogs, not under your control, so that they can scare people.
Well, they usually don't jump out unless I get out, but with the first incident that she mentioned in 2014, I didn't even know she even existed until June of last year. That's when she started coming around. I've seen her a few times at 3 o'clock in the morning when I've come home. She has passed my house, and I said, who is this lady walking around?
Did you file a restraining order against her?
Yes, I did.
I'd like to see the basis for your restraining order.
Okay.
That's part of her lawsuit. Do you own your own home?
Yes, I do.
The city's going to put a lien on it.
Yes.
Yeah, but they ought to do it.
They've called me.
They ought to do it. So now what I'm reading, Miss Morris, is that after she filed her police complaint, you filed for this protective order. That is such a crock of nonsense that if I was sitting in court, I would have thrown you out and told you to go see a therapist. Actually, I would have. I would have said, you know, this is a courthouse. You want the medical office someplace else. You're disturbed because she walks by your house with her dogs at all hours of the day and night trying to annoy you. And did somebody actually give you a temporary restraining order?
No, I knew it wasn't going to. Yeah,
just a second. So they didn't give you a temporary restraining order. I have faith, again, in the legal system.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
she had a problem with one of my friends because they were with the same guy, basically, and they didn't like that. And she was screaming at her. Well, when she saw me, that's when she approached me. In my driver's side mirror, I saw her kick my car.
May I see the police report?
Yes, ma'am.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tracy Frank says neighbor Diane's an assault and false charges. Diane is countersuing for harassment.
Now, you did serve her.
Yes, I did.
Is that correct?
Yes, I did.
That's going to cost you $1,500. Now, hopefully the city will put a lien on your house. Hopefully, because you can't just keep ignoring that and you can't abuse the system. You don't like that she walks in your alleyway? That's too bad. Insulate your house with material so that you don't hear it.
Well, Your Honor, she's actually made noise with her dogs 3, 4, 5 in the morning, waking up neighbors.
I'm not granting you any money on the vet bill because I'm not satisfied, to my satisfaction, that her dog bit your dog, not based on the proof that you give me today. It's possible that your dog had a throat abscess, It's possible. That throat abscess didn't develop in a 48-hour period. Otherwise, you would have a more complete and fulsome report from the vet. So I'm really not satisfied that there was any injury. But I am compelled, because one of the things you're suing her for is for filing a false restraining order, and that she did. And did you respond to it?
Yes.
Did you have to go to court?
Yes, I did during
$1,500 judgment for the plaintiff. We're done.
Parties are excused and they step out.
Oh my God, because she's a liar.
I had no issues with her.
I didn't know she was alive. I didn't even know she lived in the neighborhood until she started coming around.
Consequences.
Judge Judy says I need psychiatric help.
So she does need the psychiatric help.
I think it's Tracy that needs it, not me.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Hall versus Cabrera. Step forward.
22-year-old Ashley Hall is suing her former friend, 20-year-old Marissa Cabrera, for damaging her car when she kicked it.
Ms. Hall, you knew the defendant from high school, and it is your claim that after a night in a bar where you allegedly that Ms. Cabrera, who's underage for drinking, was drunk, she vandalized your car by kicking it.
Yes.
And you want her to fix the car. Ms. Cabrera denies that she kicked your car. She has a countersuit for filing a false police report and online bullying. So let's get to the evening that this happened. This was on July 31st of last year.
Yes, ma'am.
What's the name of the bar?
Stampede.
How old are you?
22.
And you?
20.
Did you go to the bar with your ID or somebody else's ID?
With my ID.
Did you drink at all when you were there?
I didn't.
No alcohol?
No.
Now, the two of you had some negative history in high school. Yes. What was that?
We actually were friends in high school. It happened when I came back from college after my second year. I didn't like how she was presenting herself at the bar. She would be rude to different guys the same night. I didn't want that reputation.
Did you have an argument about it?
I tried confronting her about it. She denied it. So I just told her, look, I don't want to be friends anymore. No hard feelings.
So tell me now what happened on the 31st of July.
The 31st, we showed up with different friends. 3 of my friends met up with me. She came with her friends. We tried avoiding them. They tried egging us on, flipping their hair.
No, just a second. Why were you avoiding them? Did your friends have problems with her friends?
We've had problems with them before.
Okay, is that because they're younger, or is that...
We just didn't like how they presented themselves, and they would bully people.
Okay, so you try to stay away.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And after we got out of the bar about 1:30, 2 o'clock when it closed, she had a problem with one of my friends because they were with the same guy, basically, and they didn't like that. And she was screaming at her. Well, when she saw me, that's when she approached me with one of her witnesses, Lexi. They started yelling at me. I told them, I don't understand why you're so caught up in this. I don't want to be friends with you. It's not a big deal. I don't have anything against you. I just want to be away from the drama. And that's when people were yelling at me, telling me, just get in your car. So that's what I did. And in my driver's side mirror, I saw her kick my car. And I have the police report where 2 other girls that I wasn't friends with.
May I see the police report?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Can you think of any reason why she would tell the police that you kicked the plaintiff's car and that she told you she would not lie for you if the police asked her?
Correct.
Now you can tell me why you think this person who was your friend would lie to the police.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Ashley Hall says former friend Marissa Cabrera vandalized her vehicle after a night out at a bar. Marissa is countersuing for harassment, a false police report, and online bullying.
What's your last name?
Owen.
Yours?
Cabrera.
What's your last name?
Mosbacher.
Miss Gehring isn't here.
No, ma'am. She had work.
She's not here.
Okay.
Now, when you left that evening after this incident in the parking lot, which there was an incident in the parking lot, correct?
Yes.
You left with Miss Gehring.
Correct.
Had you come to the bar with Miss Gehring?
We all came as a group, yes.
You and your group included Miss Gehring? Is not an answer.
Correct, yes.
How many cars were used?
2.
Did you drive?
Yes, I did. I drove me and Alexis.
How many people were in your car?
2 coming and 2 going. It was me and Alexis.
Alexis what?
Owen, my witness.
And going home?
Me and Gehring.
So she was a friend of yours?
Correct.
Can you think of any reason why she would tell the police that you kicked the plaintiff's car?
Me and...
So the answer would be yes. You can think of a reason.
Yes, I could.
That your friend that day, when interviewed by the police, told them that you kicked the plaintiff's car and that she told you she would not lie for you if the police asked her.
Correct.
Now you can tell me why you think this person who was your friend would lie to the police.
Goring and me have had problems in high school. We've had a patchy friendship, I could say, and as she has been with everybody else. She's been off and on with every one of her friends. They used to call her a rent-a-friend. That's how she is.
Well, that's not a reason for her to lie about you committing a crime.
I did not commit a crime. I did not kick Ashley's car.
Well,
Your Honor.
you're not following my question. The reason that you're giving me for why the person that you chose after this altercation to leave the premises with, who was questioned by the police the next day, who came with you was with your group, when asked by the police, didn't say, I didn't see anybody kick the car. I don't know who kicked the car. She said, you kicked the car, and she told you that night the truth. So that's the answer you're giving me, because, yeah, sometimes she's your friend, sometimes she's other people's friends. That's the answer that you're giving me.
And she feeds off of drama, so if there's any incident, she would pick anybody's side, whoever she wants. And I took her home that night, not because, like, we're really good friends, because we aren't. I took her home because she needed a ride home. That's why.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by.
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay. May I see pictures of the car?
Yes, ma'am.
May I see an estimate for the damage replacement? We're done. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,600.
Your Honor,
Thank
what
you.
about
That's
the
it.
counterclaim?
We're done.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
She was drunk and intoxicated that night, and she just, I guess, didn't like the fact that I didn't want to be favorite maybe since high school. She kicked it while I was getting in, and she had cowboy boots on. That's why there's a big dent. Her normal self, trying to pick a fight. Probably just to get money. I go to school out in Texas, so I just got rid of the drama when I left to go back to college. I will never speak to that girl again.
He was supposed to stay 300 feet away from him at all times.
He says a restraining order couldn't stop his cousin.
I seen Anna grab something from Patricia, and Anna was coming towards my car.
And is called to 911.
I heard something.
Paints a vivid picture.
I heard what appeared to be a crash. Was the window smashed?
That's when they threw the rock.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Billy Dye is suing his former friend, Pat Bailey Mangroom, and Pat's friends, Anna and Shondell Coppage, for vandalizing his car.
Order. All rise.
Yeah, that's case number 161 on the calendar, matter of Dye versus Bailey Mangroom Coppage.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been.
Miss Mangrew was your cousin.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
According to you, you got Miss Mangrew a job at the same place where you were working.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
What kind of place were you
It
working?
was at Metro PCS Wireless.
According to you, your cousin was promoted to a better job at the same company.
Yes, Judge.
And this lady, whose last name is Coppage, and you're her husband.
Correct.
This lady also works at the same company,
Yes, Judge.
but you do not.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now, something happened, and you lost your job.
I actually quit because there was too much.
Your Honor, he did not. He was actually terminated.
Don't speak unless I'm speaking to you. And it is your claim that all three of these defendants vandalized your car.
Yes, Judge.
Now, you say in your complaint that you were granted a protective order
Yes, Judge.
against Miss Mangrew.
Yes, Judge.
Do you have a copy of that?
I don't. I went to the No, ma'am.
You don't. Did you have a trial?
Yes.
And at the end of the trial, did you get a protective order?
Yes, it got granted for the 2 years.
Is that correct?
Only in part. His order of protection got granted only because I was unable to show. I had one against him.
No. Did he get an order of protection against you for 2 years.
Yes.
Do you have any of the paperwork with regard to the protective order?
This is the one I brought with me.
And then, Bird, while I'm looking at this, I'd like to see the order.
Thank you.
Okay, got it. There was, in fact, a default. You were granted a protective order for 2 years.
Yes.
You were supposed to stay 300 feet away from him at all times, and you were supposed to refrain from exercising any contact with him, including through social media. Okay, now, an incident occurred on, according to you, on March 25th of this
Judge.
year. First involving Miss Mangru and Miss Kopage.
Yes, Judge.
Just the two ladies. Tell me what happened.
What happened is I current work at McDonald's. I was heading to work, and when I was driving down Broadway at the corner of Broadway and 6th Street, there was a stoplight. I had to stop because it was a red light.
What time?
It was around 6:45.
In the morning.
At night. In the afternoon, yes, Judge. And I was looking through my side window because, it was to my left. I seen Anna grab something from Patricia.
Did you see, were they on foot or?
They were actually standing outside in front of Metro PCS.
Your Honor, that's not what the police state reports.
Just a second. I told you before, don't interrupt him. I get back to you. Don't interrupt him. That's where they worked.
Yes, ma'am. That's where they were.
What were you going past there for?
I was heading to work.
And you have to pass that place to go to work in McDonald's? There's
yes,
no other
like
way that you
away. The other streets that go down, it's all one way if I have to go.
Okay. It's a block and a half away.
Yes, from Metro PCS.
In what town do you live, sir?
Rockford, Illinois.
How many McDonald's are there?
There's several.
Well, why do you work in one that's a block and a half away from Miss Mangru?
Because I live right a block from Metro PCS.
Well, if you live a block away, what were you in your car for?
Because I was driving to work. I don't walk because the problems that I'm having with these people, I don't trust anything to do with them because that's why I stay away. I rather drive and then walk. If I walk, something else might seriously happen.
Okay. So now you're driving to work and you see the two ladies
Yes.
who were in front of their place of employment.
Yes.
And you saw them do what?
I seen Anna grab something from Patricia, and Anna was coming towards my car. So I couldn't go anywhere because the stoplight was there. So I'm like, I almost ran the light because I'm like, I'm gonna prevent from anything happening. Well, when the light turned green, Anna squirted something all over my car. I have a picture showing that they squirted mustard all over my car. When I was driving, I smelled something very sour, bitter. I'm like, oh my goodness, I hope this is not mustard on my white car. A picture showing where there's mustard squirted on my car.
What did you do?
I pulled a block down the street where the dollar store is. I pulled over, I called the police.
Okay. Do you have a police report?
I actually have the police report, the call that I made right after when they actually damaged my car. And this happened right after I called for the mustard. What happened was when the police came out and see my car.
Don't tell me what anybody saw. Okay, well, this police report had to do with the second event that involved Mr. Kopage.
Yes, it involved all
Okay.
three.
All right. So now I want you to tell me about the second incident. That also happened on the same date.
It was right after the mustard. The police officers told me to go wash my car if it was stained or anything. Come back to where I was sitting, call the police, and they'll just file criminal damage or.
Okay.
So I was rubbing it really hard to see if it come off. Well, it was coming off. By the time I was actually calling dispatch, and actually I had the 911 right here is when I was calling them. Anna and Patricia was walking across the street, come into the dollar store. They walked up to the dollar store's door, and then they came back, walked by my car. They split up. When Patricia split up and walked to the side of Family Dollar.
Did you say anything to her?
I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything because I just wanted to keep the problems minimum. I was just waiting for the police to come.
You had called the police?
No, I'm getting the mustard off. I was scrubbing it really hard to rub it off. At that time, I was calling dispatch. That's when I seen them approaching, coming across the street.
Did you say anything to them?
I didn't say absolutely nothing at all. I don't want any problem. I just wanted to stay.
Just a second. Well, did you tell the police that they were coming back?
When I was on the audio right here, you can hear where it says that they're coming across now.
I'd like to hear that.
Okay.
Hello? Yeah, I'm actually my phone kind of. The girl that actually did the car, she's actually walking by my car, me. And now she's walking to my car. What's her date of birth? I don't know. Or is I found out this around this when I made the car in court records when I seen it.
No problem. Okay, so she's around. Did she come in a car?
Actually, they were coming in the car and smashed my window.
They had already smashed the window. They'd already smashed the window because I heard something.
Yes.
Turn it off. Turn it off. While you were on the phone with the police, I heard what appeared to be a crash. Was it then that your window was broken?
Yeah,
Or-
that's when they threw the rock.
Okay.
Yes,
Fine.
Judge.
Very good. Now, that's
And I
all.
have a witness here that was, apparently when I went back the last week, she approached me and asked me if I was okay, and she's seen part of it when it was...
Did you know her before?
No, ma'am.
No, and she's not mentioned in
Hey, band! Tell me your name.
Amber Bainey.
Do you know the plaintiff?
I do not.
Tell me the first time that you met him.
It was actually at the dollar store. It was approximately a week after this had happened. I had seen him and asked him if he was okay and if they,
Tell me what you observed on March 25th. Do you work at the dollar store?
No, ma'am. I recently moved to Rockford, and I was loading my stuff into my car, and I heard the commotion and heard the actual hit of the glass.
Did you see who was there? Did you see who was throwing the rocks?
All three of the defendants were there.
Good. Have a seat. Thank you. Now I'll hear you. Your testimony is relatively simple.
Yes.
Listen to me, because you say that none of you could have been present there because you were attending something someplace else.
Yes, and I have that.
Well, I'd like to see it.
Okay. I also have the police report. I don't know if you want to see that.
I do.
And then
well,
also...
I have a police report. I just want to make certain that it's the
just give
same
me
police report. I'll take a look.
I have messages too. Sorry.
You also have?
I also have messages from him saying he would like to record, and this is his personal page from Facebook.
Just a second, I'll look at it.
Judge, I deactivated
What is this?
my Facebook a couple months.
This is nonsense. I don't want to look at this at all. Give this back to her. It's not evidence.
And you can actually call her.
I don't have to call anybody. It's not evidence. It's nonsense. This is May 30th. This is after the event, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I have this police report. Now, can I see the estimate for your damage, please?
Yes, Judge.
Yeah.
There you go.
You have absolutely no proof that you weren't there.
And Judge?
You have no proof that you weren't.
You can actually call her. I was in the Chicagoland
Listen to me.
area.
If you have a witness, you bring a witness.
She can't come.
Well, she can't come. I believe her.
Okay,
absolutely,
how about my
and I believe that.
How
And
about
I
my
believe this.
countersuit for actually the
Just a
harassment
second.
and lost wages?
Just a second. And I believe this.
Judge?
Shh, quiet. I believe that.
And also,
I
she
don't.
was not here.
How do you know she wasn't there? Just
Because
a second.
I actually have messages in my phone from his sister-in-law that just sent me this last night in my phone talking about her, that he told his own brother how he smashed his own window. I just received this message from his sister-in-law.
Okay.
And then I also have about my countersuit, all the harassment he has been doing to me since January. Lost wages going back and forth to court since February.
Let me tell you this. You want to do away with a protective order that was issued in...
Just the countersuit.
I'm speaking.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
It would be disgusting of you as a child to let your mother live in a bad apartment, right?
Yes.
So it must be okay.
Okay, yes.
Good. Now, just a second. I'm not talking to you. You're the defendant.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Billy Dye says former friend Pat Bailey Mangroom and Pat's friends, Anna and Shondell Coppage, vandalized his vehicle. The defendants are countersuing for harassment and lost wages.
Now, you want to do away with a protective order that was issued for 2 years in March because of some excuse, again, that you have why you couldn't be there, why someone else, another witness that you had couldn't be there. Then you go back to the court and say, this is the proof that I have. I was hospitalized. I was incapacitated with the flu. Whatever excuse you think will persuade the judge to open up that protective. Do you understand?
All he's doing is harassing me because I wouldn't rehire him. He even said in these
Judgment
messages...
for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,170.
He's going to harass me
Counterclaims
the rest
dismissed.
of my
We're
life.
done.
Thank you, Judge.
He'll be back in Rockford
Parties are
harassing me
excused. You
again.
may step out.
He did it himself. He sat there and told everyone on social media.
Never. Never.
I kicked my own window in just so I could try to get some money out of her and throw her in jail.
Never told anyone that I broke a window or anything. I would never break my own car window that I really cherish to have.
That's how crazy he is.
Because every time I hear about my car, it hurts me.
And now all he's doing is continuing to sit here in court and make these lies and allegations to try to just discredit my name.
Because I work very hard for something that I pay for.
I guess karma is really going to get him in the end.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Connolly versus Romero. Step forward.
John and Suzanne Connolly are suing their former tenant, Veronica Romero, for rent and property damage.
You are landlords in a building.
We are.
And you rented to this lady. She was your tenant, according to your papers, for 17 years. Is that correct?
That's incorrect.
How long?
We rented to her grandmother for approximately 15 years, and she's still a tenant.
This lady?
No, that is her sister.
Who is she?
She is my current tenant's sister.
My grandmother rents from them currently.
Great. Could you stand up, please? Tell me your last name.
Hernandez.
Ms. Hernandez, your mother has been a tenant of Mr. and Mrs. Connolly for 15 years?
Correct.
And in all of those 15 years, have you ever moved to evict her mother?
No.
She's been a good tenant.
She has.
Pays her rent on time.
She does.
Apartment is kept in good order.
It is.
No.
Just a second. I'm not asking you anything. Would you let your mother live in a bad apartment? Look at me.
No.
You wouldn't. Right, because that would be disgusting of you as a child to let your mother live in a bad apartment, right?
Yes.
So she's been living in this apartment for 15 years, so it must be okay.
Okay, yes.
Good.
Well,
Good.
let them know about
Just
the
a second.
damages, Mom.
I'm not talking to you. You're the defendant. Because for 15 years they rented to your grandmother, who was a good tenant. Then they rented to you, and they rented to you what month and year?
June 1st, 2015.
And at that time you were 17 years old?
No.
How old were you?
Me, currently, I'm 32.
Oh, you're 32.
Yeah. I wish I was 17 again.
Me too.
No.
Me too.
That'd be nice.
Move out.
I left January 11th. There's a text message.
January, just a second,
Yeah.
January 11th, 2016.
Yeah.
That's when you say you left.
Yeah.
When do you say she left?
She left approximately, Judge Judy, on
March 3rd.
March 3rd without any notice.
Okay, I'd like to know.
I have a 3-day notice.
I understand you have a 3-day notice. That doesn't mean you left.
Yeah. Yes, I did.
That means that you got a 3-day notice to leave in
And
January.
I did.
But that doesn't mean you left.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Do you have proof of that?
I don't have my bank statements.
Why not?
Because the card that I used to withdraw money was discontinued because I upgraded my debit card. So I couldn't get all the records from that from the bank anymore. So
it's ridiculous.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
John and Suzanne Connolly say former tenant Veronica Romero owes for rent and property damage.
Now, when you moved out of the apartment that they were renting to you, give me the address that you moved to.
I moved to my mother's because he turned off the hot water.
Just a second.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Now, when was the last time?
December of 2015.
December?
Because I left and moved January 11th.
Just a second.
Yeah.
December of 2013. And how much money did you give them?
I only gave them $550.
And how much was your rent?
$800.
And what about in November? How much rent did you give them in November?
I wasn't late only for December.
I didn't ask you
there
late.
was
Late you didn't pay them because you didn't pay them what you were supposed to. Now I'm back in November.
$800.
How much rent did you pay in November?
$800.
Do you have proof of that?
Yeah.
I'd like
don't
to-
have my bank statements.
Why not?
Because the card that I used to withdraw money was discontinued because I upgraded my debit card. So I couldn't get all the records from that from the bank anymore. So
it's ridiculous. Did she pay in November? Did
She
pay in
paid
November?
us on November, I believe it was the 30th. She paid us $550 to go towards some back rent on some months that she didn't pay us.
When did she stop paying you the full $800 a month?
That would be in August of 2015. She gave us
That's a lie.
$600 on August the 10th.
that's a lie.
All you have to do is show me your bank records. I'm not going to hear you otherwise. Do you
Okay.
understand? Because, Ms. Romero, I'm explaining it to you carefully. Your grandmother lived there for 15 years.
I understand, but
she never had
So, yeah.
a rent dispute with them.
He
Now, don't
talks
tell
to
me
my grandmother
don't tell me.
badly.
Listen to me.
So,
don't
yeah.
tell me honestly. Your grandmother, does she still live there?
She's still there because
Just a second.
she's
Don't
afraid
tell me
to
because.
move.
I don't want to know because your mother says she would not let her mother live
How
in.
would you let her know?
She wouldn't let her mother live
How
in
she
a
lives.
situation that was untenable. So your grandmother is still there. They've never moved to evict them, which means there's nothing to suggest, even in your family history, that they're trying to get over.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, how much rent does her grandmother pay?
She pays $850
She's
a
on
month.
Section 8, so she doesn't pay very much at all. She's on housing.
How much does she owe you?
$4,400.
Do you have any proof that you made those payments in the amount of $4,400?
I don't owe him that because on here it says I only owe $800 and $200 was from December that I owed and $800 here. This is a 3-day notice he gave to me after he harassed me and my mom.
Judgment for the
who is
plaintiff
sick.
in the amount of $4,400. We're done.
Excuse, Jimmy, step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Former brother-in-laws tangle over a repossession.
That was not the last payment, and he knew that.
He made almost $7,000 worth of payments on this truck, and you hustled him.
Next Judge Judy.
I've learned that you have to trust your instincts, and I knew when she walked into my office
He pretty much lied about me paying that much rent.
that I was dealing with somebody that I really didn't want to, but because of her grandmother, which has been an absolute doll,
He's harassed me and my mother, who's sick with cancer.
as a tenant for us for 15 years, I went ahead and accepted her as a tenant. So, lesson learned.
But what I'm going to do is get a restraining order after this.
No more free rides, and you know what? There are still good people out there.
It is what it is. I'm glad it's over, so I can move on.
Your rent was $300.
He raised it to $500.
And then he raised it another $100.
Yes.
The cost of her room went through the roof.
It's a free America. That's his choice.
So she chose to make excuses instead of paying.
There was 24 violations from housing.
If he wants to live like a pig in his house, he could live like a pig in his house. And you have a choice to move elsewhere. Move!
Judge Judy.
Enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
24-year-old Tierra Kelly is suing her former landlord, Marvin Augustus, for the return of rent and for destroying her belongings.
Order. All rise.
And it's case number 276 on the calendar in the matter of Kelly versus Augustus.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Miss Kelly, you were a tenant of Mr. Augustus for a period of time, and you claim several things. You claim you overpaid him in rent, which he raised your rent from an initial $300. He raised it to $600. According to you, that was in violation of the law. And in addition, you say he put some of your things outside and they were damaged. That's your case. Mr. Augustus says that he owns a private home, and it was ultimately determined that he could charge whatever rent he wants to someone who's renting a room in his private home.
That's correct.
And that you lived there without paying rent from May until October. And in addition, you made some false allegations to the housing authority against him, and that was back in the beginning of the summer. And despite the fact that you reported him Avery living conditions, you elected to stay there until October without paying rent, so he has a counterclaim. All right, let's take care of the easy things first. You moved in on what date, Miss Kelly?
August 2014.
And you moved out on what date?
October 3rd, 2016.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a waitress. I do bottle serving in clubs or events, things like that.
Okay. So you lived there for 2 years?
Yeah.
And I assume you had options as far as living places?
No. I'm from New York, so I came out here and...
Well, of course you have options. If things are unsafe, unsanitary,
No,
or too expensive,
if I don't have
you move.
family.
You move. That's what you do. People who don't like where they're living, they move. Now, when you moved in, your rent was $300.
Yes.
When did he raise it to $600?
He raised it to $500 first.
When?
January 2015. And then he
$500 first, and you agreed to pay him the $500?
Yes, because I had nowhere else to go.
And then when did he raise it again?
January 2016.
He raised it another $100?
Yes.
Did you have your own room in his house?
Yes.
Any other boarders in his house?
No.
Did he also live there?
Yes.
How long have you been renting a room, Mr. Augustus, in your house?
Well, I had two sisters living with me. They moved in around June of 2014. And
Had you ever rented a room to anyone?
No, not
yourself. Okay. Now, you're going to show me an official document, and Mr. Augustus is going to show me an official document, and your official document is going to say he overcharged you rent because of something, and your official document is going to tell me that you're not subject to any rule. Do you have that document?
I'm sorry, Judge Judy, I can't hear you.
Okay. Who are you?
Stacy, I'm his daughter.
Could you stand up, please? Tell me your name.
Stacy McKellar.
Miss McKellar, do you have a document from the city indicating that he is not subject to any rent control?
Yes, ma'am.
You do, and you have one as well. Okay, now I'd like to see it. So that will take care of one issue. Okay, your letter is dated August 4th of 2016.
He got his...
Just a second, I'm reading it. Okay, so this is from the Los Angeles Housing Authority, and it says, Mr. Augustus, we have reviewed a complaint, and it was for an illegal eviction and illegal rent increase. And it says, under the Rent Stabilization Office, rent may be increased a certain amount. You increased her rent too much, and therefore you have to repay her that rent. Then in September, which is a monthing authority, a review of the applicability of the Los Angeles Rent Stabilization Ordinance to this property has been completed. Our review of the available property records indicate that the house located on this lot is not subject to rent stabilization ordinances because it is a single-family dwelling. Single-family dwellings are also exempt from systemic code enforcement program, and their records will be updated to reflect the exemption for this property. Okay, so did you see this letter?
Yeah, but
just
they
a second.
lied. Yes.
All I'm asking is, you saw this letter?
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay, so that takes care of your overpayment.
How does that take over overpayment if he already signed before, even after he got that letter, he already signed that he was going to give me money for the overpayment. And they lied because there's another building in the back, someone pays rent, and his daughter only popped up
I'm going to explain it to you.
I know, I'm just telling
I'm going to explain it to you. The explanation is somebody in August didn't do their homework and examine his property and pay attention, and didn't do their homework and looked and said, well, he can't raise rent from $300 to $600, an increase. So they sent you this letter. Based upon this letter, he agreed to pay you the overpayment that they said that he, stop shaking, that he said that they had to pay you. He evidently appealed it or asked them to look into the records, and when they did, they said, whoops, sorry, somebody sent this in August, and they shouldn't have. You live in a private house, and if you want to rent a room, and if somebody wants to pay you $10,000 a month for the private room in a single-family dwelling that's not subject to rent stabilization, you can charge whatever you want. That's what the later letter indicates.
Can I say something?
You can say whatever you want. I've just explained it to you.
I know, but can I speak up on something?
You can tell me whatever you want.
Well, I'm going to let you know why later that popped up, because after we already settled where he had to pay money, he still didn't want to pay me money because he knew he was wrong. I have a letter from the health department stating how the house was not safety at all. There was 24 violations from housing, period, where he shouldn't have been living there in that type of living condition.
Move.
I did move. I did move. I wasn't going to leave anywhere, and I had nowhere place to go, and someone just throws my stuff out. His daughter wasn't even there. There is another dwelling in their back house.
Listen to me. I'm just reading.
I understand what you're reading, but what I'm telling you, that is not facts. That is not the truth.
No, this is fact.
When they're lying to housing and they're telling them, they didn't come back to the house and see that it was only a single family house.
Blueprint. Shh. Listen to me. You're not getting any money. Now, this is a free country. You work, you make a living.
And he's doing things.
Listen, careful. You work, you make a living. If the living conditions that Mr. Augustus chooses to live in his own private house are unacceptable for anybody, you shouldn't live there. It's his house. If he wants to live like a pig in his house, he could live like a pig in his house. I don't know if his house is a pigsty, but if he wants to live there, it's a free America. That's his choice. You, on the other hand, don't own that house, and you have a choice to move elsewhere. You're supposed to be paying $600 a month rent. So what you did, according to Mr. Augustus, is you stopped paying rent in May.
No.
But you still, just a second, well, we'll get to that.
Okay.
But you still lived there in May, June, July, August, and September for 5 months, despite the fact that it was so terrible, you still lived there. So my next question to you is, if the conditions were so terrible, and you lived May, June, July, August, September, and you moved out in October, did you pay rent for those months?
No.
Well, that comes under my story if you go into a restaurant and order a steak. You're a waitress. Pay attention. You go into a restaurant and order a steak. From you, you're the waitress. And you serve the steak, and the person that ordered the steak finishes the steak, and then you give them a bill. And they say, we're not paying for the steak, we didn't like it. And they walk out. Does your boss take that out of your wages that you let somebody eat for free?
Yes, but not in this case. I couldn't compare that to this case.
Just a second. If you eat the steak, you have to pay for it. So you lived in the house May, June, July, August, and September. You lived in this house that you say was terrible. You called the health department.
Can I tell you why I stayed that long? Because in May, I received a 3-day notice where he told me he was just going to kick me out, and I had to just leave and pay that money, and he threw my things out. He threw my things out then, where I had to call the cops on him. He never served me an eviction notice.
You're not answering my question.
But I'm saying why I stayed that long. Because he was trying to still get money from me without any eviction notice, without any of the stuff, before I even had notice of all that stuff.
Miss Kelly, Miss Kelly, I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about
why I stayed.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am.
No, you're not.
I stayed because I had legal rights to still stay there, even though he tried to just
Your case is dismissed. The whole thing is dismissed because you don't pay attention. I'm really trying to explain to you. No, you're not answering my question.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today...
Do me a favor. Button that button on your shirt.
Certainly. Yes, I actually
I'm not finished. The next one, too.
Wow.
Because this is not an audition for anything, Mr. Tanzi. This is a case that's going to be over very fast.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Tierra Kelly says former landlord Marvin Augustus owes for the return of rent and destroying her belongings. Marvin is countersuing for rent and for making false charges to the housing authority.
Now, if you live in a disgusting place that you
and I had nowhere to go, so I stayed.
You mean this is the only house in Los Angeles?
That's the only place where I had to
stay. Your case is dismissed.
I could pay money.
Now, your rent was $600 a month, and you lived there for 5 months. That's $2,000. You ate the steak.
And I overpaid him money.
No, you didn't overpay it, not according to the County of Los Angeles.
Okay.
You owe him $3,000. Judgment on the counterclaim. We're done.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, the plaintiff was a squatter.
I did not pay that rent because he knew that he gave me too much, that I paid him too much money.
And extortionist.
He was perfectly fine with me living there until I did not give him $400, which he was getting.
And that she was just trying to get something for nothing.
She wasn't there at all, like in the picture ever around for 2 years that I lived there.
So I felt like my father was being taken advantage of.
She was never there for holidays. He was there by himself on holidays watching Judge Judy.
Why don't you leave if you're not happy here?
He's there by himself every day, all the time, but you know.
And she's upset because she can't sit in my dad's backyard and dance naked anymore.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Latin versus Tansy. Step forward.
Jennifer Latin is suing David Tansy for selling her a Prius with a lien on the title.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Tansy?
I am a self-employed entrepreneur.
A self-employed?
So, I'm an entrepreneur.
What does that mean?
It means I try to find profitable business enterprises.
How do you support yourself? A rental property that you own or that you're an agent for?
I have
Would you do me a favor? Button that button on your shirt. That's...
Certainly. Yes, I actually
I'm not finished. The next one, too.
Wow.
Because this is not an audition for anything, Mr. Tansy. This is a case that's going to be over very fast, because this is what happened. Mr. and Mrs. Latin were looking for a car for their son. They saw a car that you were advertising on Craigslist, and they came to look at the car. They liked it, and they negotiated a price with you. This was a car that you owned, but which had on it a title loan that you were taken out because I guess your entrepreneurship wasn't going so well, because those people who take out title loans on their car usually are desperate for money. So they negotiated a price with you, and they knew that the car had a title loan. Stop playing with your pen. They knew that the car had a title loan because you told them that you were going to take part of the money that they paid you and go to pay off the title loan. As a matter of fact, they even went to the bank with you at one point, and you gave them a receipt showing that you had, in fact, paid off the title loan. Well, then they went to the Department of Motor Vehicles, and the Department of Motor on the car. Come back on Monday. Sometimes it takes a couple of days. Now, I may be doing a Reader's Digest version of this story, but this is the gist of it, and this is only a half-hour program.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Okay, so this is the man of integrity we're dealing with. So he had to take a title loan out on the car. Did you ever take out a title loan on your car?
No.
You ever take out a title loan on your car?
No.
Camera one, did you ever take out a title loan on your car?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Jennifer Latin says David Tansy sold her a Prius with a lien on the title.
So what it seems, Mr. Tansy, is that you did, in fact, go to the bank with Mr. and Mrs. Latin and paid off the $1,401 that was left on the title loan. The only problem is because your business, this entrepreneur businessship that you're involved in, is so lousy that you had bounced a couple of other checks that you wrote, and the bank paid those checks, and then banks bounced the check to the title company so that the loan was never paid off. So they can't register the car. Well, now they come back to you and say, what happened? Oh, I gave you this car for a really good price. Why don't you just give it back to me, and I'll give you back your money because I can sell it to somebody else for more money. And according to you, they say, no, we love the car. We'll pay off your title loan. That's what you say. That's what he says. And what you did actually was you did pay off the title loan.
Yes, we did.
Using a
credit card.
And what did Mr. Tansy say he was going to do about this title loan that you paid off so that you could now register the car that you had already given him how many thousands of dollars for?
$9,250.
In a cashier's check.
Correct.
What did Mr. Tansy say to you when you agreed to pay off the credit card?
He said that he would be able to pay us back. He's a man of his word within 30 days. That's where my husband was with me at the bank, and that he's a man of his word. He has integrity. It's not going to be a problem.
Okay, so this is the man of integrity we're dealing with, and who's his integrity. He's an entrepreneur, and that's the way he makes his living. So he had to take a title loan out on the car. Do you and your husband both work?
Yes, we do.
And you have vehicles?
Correct.
Did you ever take out a title loan on your car?
No.
Did you ever take out a title loan on your car?
No.
You ever take out a title loan on your car?
No.
Camera one. Did he ever give you any money towards the title loan?
No, he didn't.
Right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, Mr. Tansy, clearly you understood that it was your responsibility to pay off the title loan because you went to the bank with Mr. and Mrs. Latin to show them that you were, in fact, paying off the title loan with the $9,000 that they gave you for the car. So you understood it was your responsibility.
That was, in fact, a courtesy.
No, listen to me. You understood that it was your responsibility, which is why you went to the bank with them to show them that you were paying it off. And you gave them, just a second, and you gave them the receipt, right? And you said in your answer, sir, that the problem was that some checks had bounced in your account.
Well, I'd like to clarify something
No,
first.
don't clarify. First, answer my question.
All right.
You said in your answer, which I read very carefully, that checks bounced in your account, which caused the check for the lien to bounce, which is why it was never cleared. That's what you said in your answer. Was that the truth? That's what you were told, and that's what you believed.
Yes.
Then you understood that you had a responsibility, because you did pay it, that it was your responsibility to pay off the loan from the proceeds. Or you mean you just felt like taking Mr. and Mrs. Latin, or they're a very nice couple, to the bank with you? You just felt like taking an afternoon ride with them to the bank? And so either one of two things, Mr. Tanzi. Either you felt like taking a ride with Mr. and Mrs. Latin, you had nothing else to do.
They are very pleasant people.
Okay, $1,401.
And she agreed
It's
to
not
pick
an
me up.
audition. Get him out of here.
You are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
Well, the ad said clean, which means no lien. If it says clean, it doesn't mean salvaged.
And then there's a title with a lien. She understood it had a lien. She signed a bill of sale knowing it had a lien.
I would have never even answered the ad if it had a lien on it.
Bill of sale, it said the lien is clearly depicted on there.
He definitely seems like he's an entrepreneur out to get money any way he can.
Preposterous. Absolutely preposterous.
I love Judge Judy. I always have, and I do even more now. Justice was served.
That is the
custody.
Where did Nugget spend the night?
With me.
Your house.
I also always slept in his apartment.
I didn't ask where you were sleeping. I asked where the dog was sleeping.
Now,
Miss Khaleesi, you are getting yourself in so much difficulty.
will her broken heart be enough?
I took care of my dog. Like, I had an Instagram account for him. Like, I loved my dog. That was my child, you know.
Judge Judy. You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
23-year-old Jenna Khaleesi is suing her ex-boyfriend, Michael Trayers, for the return of her dog and for falsely accusing her of assault.
Order. All rise.
Now it's case number 265 on the calendar in the matter of Khaleesi versus Trayers.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
That is the adorable Nugget.
It is, yes.
I've read the complaint and your answer. Why don't you put Nugget down? He would like to say hello to Miss Khaleesi, I think. Probably hasn't seen her for a bit.
It's been like a month or so.
Month or so. Okay. Good.
Okay, come on, buddy.
Okay.
Just go visit you, I think.
Okay. Very good. All right, this is what the case is about. You two were a couple, and you're no longer a couple. You're fighting over the dog. So I have to make a judgment as to who owns the dog. Now, Miss Khaleesi, when you and Mr. Trayers were a couple, on what date did you start living together?
We unofficially were living together in his Lawrence apartment in May of 2015.
What does that mean?
Well, we started dating in April of 2015.
April? Just a second. Let's go very slowly. April 2015, you started dating.
Yes.
Were you living in your own apartment?
Yes.
Any roommates?
Yes.
How many?
I had 2 roommates.
And you had a lease?
Yes.
And when did your lease expire on that apartment?
The lease had actually just started.
So you had a new lease in April with roommates.
It was probably a few months before that.
And you moved in at some point with Mr. Trayers?
Yes.
Just a second. I asked the question. You moved in at some point with Mr. Trayers into his apartment?
Yes.
What date?
I don't have an actual date. The roommate situation that I was having in my apartment wasn't that great. So me and my...
Just a second. When was the last month you paid rent in that apartment that you had with roommates?
Probably March
of 2015.
So you mean you lived there March and April without paying rent?
No.
I understand what you're saying. You were living with roommates.
Yes.
That lease with the roommates expired January of 2016.
I believe it was actually, I think it actually expired in...
I want you to try to compose yourself. You probably didn't think I was going to go here, but we're going to figure out certain things my way. And if you need other people, like your roommate, to help you, I'll place the call. When was the last month you paid rent on the apartment that you were living in with your roommates?
April of 2015.
And you moved in with Michael in May.
I started sleeping at his apartment like most nights, and then gradually just kind of like had more and more stuff at the house, at his apartment.
When did you move in with the defendant to his apartment? Give me the month.
The month that we moved into the apartment in Lowell was September 1st of 2015.
Where did you get your mail between May and September?
At my apartment in Lowell.
Where your roommates were?
Yes.
So that's where you were residing?
Yes.
In your apartment until September, when you moved in with the defendant?
Yes.
Great. Now, Mr. Trayers.
Yes, Your Honor.
When was Nugget purchased?
In June 18th, 2015.
And when Nugget was purchased first,
yes,
where did Nugget spend the night?
Every single night since I have bought him has spent with me.
In your house.
And
did Nugget ever spend the night at Miss Khaleesi's apartment with her roommates?
No, they weren't allowed to have animals there, actually.
That's
okay. And you're shaking your head that that is not true. I need the name and phone number of your roommates.
Okay. I can
get it. So what you're telling me, Miss Khaleesi, is that you were allowed to have pets in the apartment where you were living with your roommates?
No.
Okay, then I don't need the name of your roommates.
I was paying for an apartment that I wasn't living in. So I was paying rent for an apartment, but in the months that we lived together, I very, very rarely would go there. So that is why I ultimately ended my lease with my roommates, because I was paying for an apartment that I wasn't at, because I spent every night at his house.
You just told me that you paid rent.
Yep, I paid rent until we came to an agreement. I paid out the amount. I paid about $2,000 to my roommate.
Miss Khaleesi, you are getting yourself in so much difficulty because you're trying to figure out where I'm going, and you're not going to figure out where I'm going. So if you try to tailor your testimony to where you think it's going to help your case, what happens is I have a good memory. Mm-hmm. And you told me you stopped paying. You moved in to an apartment together, a new apartment with the defendant, September 1st. Then I asked him, did the dog always sleep in your apartment? He bought the dog in June, which means that July and August, you kept shaking your head when he said the dog always slept in my apartment. You shook your head, no.
I also always slept in his apartment.
I didn't ask where you were sleeping. I asked where the dog was sleeping. Do you understand?
Yes.
Fine. Now, do you have the papers for the dog when you purchased the dog? I'd like to take a look at the papers.
This is the only physical paper that we were given at the time. It also went through a third party, which she's going to show you.
Just a second, I can read.
Okay.
So at the time, Mr. Trayers,
yes,
you are named as a purchaser. Mm-hmm. You lived at 270.
Yes, Your Honor. And that's on the third party paperwork with my name as the leasee under 270. This is also the pet amendum for when we signed the lease.
May I see that, please?
Sure.
And then I have the contract here.
And this is when you moved into the new apartment?
Yes, Your Honor.
In September?
Yeah, it was September 15th, not the 1st.
Okay. What do you have there?
Okay. So it was through, so the Puppy Palace was the place that we got the dog at, but the dog was financed. So it was financed through two different parties.
That's what I was referring to for you.
So on that contract.
Okay, so this is a financing agreement. They call it a lessee name. The lessee name is Michael Trayers, and the co-lessee name is?
Nobody, but my signature is on every page.
Is nobody. Okay,
yeah,
so you're paying this puppy out.
Apologize.
Puppy was $1,500. Did you pay $1,500 on that date?
No, since
The answer is no.
I paid
So-
$125
So
in
you're
cash.
paying the puppy off in certain installments?
Correct, yes.
Okay, great. Starting on what date?
So when we got the dog, because all my credit cards are tied up into all my bills, I pay for all my rent.
Whatever, I don't care.
Okay, I'm just saying. So I asked Jenna if she could put her credit card down.
So they ran my credit.
So she put her card down and signed it. That's why her signature is on the paper. So I was giving her cash every month until September when we moved in together. Our agreement was...
Just a second.
I have proof too. Our agreement was in September that she would pay the two smallest bills because she's in college and I didn't want her to have a big strain. So I paid all the rent, all the food,
Okay, you paid
every
that's
single
what
dog
you,
bill.
Shh, listen to me. So you paid the major expenses, pay the pet bill, and according to you, a utility bill?
The cable bill.
Utility and cable and food and everything else.
No, not rent.
Not rent, but he also wasn't paying rent. His mom was. Okay. Because he wasn't working.
I'm talking now about the dog. What I have is June 18th, the puppy was purchased. The puppy lived with the defendant until September 1st when you moved in together. And the puppy stayed at his house until you moved into a new premises on September 1st. Now what I want to see is not your payments, because he acknowledges that you made payments September 1st, whatever reason he gives for the fact that you made the payments starting September 1st until the day that you finally separated. Now, you separated once in April and then got back together briefly in May, according to you. On what date did you finally separate?
June 1st was the official day that I moved out.
Of this year?
Of 2016, yes.
Now, after June 1st of 2016, did you make any payments for the dog? After June 1st?
I made the last payment that was made was June 20th of 2016. I have the printout off of the
So
financing.
you didn't pay July, August, September, or October?
No.
Okay, so for the last 4 months...
I was in constant contact with the financing company because they kept informing me that payments were not being made. They kept calling me and telling me that the dog was going to get repossessed because Mike was not making
Listen to
payments.
me. You can't tell me what the finance company said to you. That's hearsay. All I want to know is you did not make payments on the dog for those 4 months, and the dog was with the defendant.
Yes.
So from September 1st until June 20th.
June 20th.
The payments were made by you. You don't deny that.
I denied June, but September to May she paid, correct.
Fine. I'd like to see your payments after that.
I have a credit report from them stating that everything's payment on time. From
I have.
Monterey.
Just a second. Very easy call. I asked you a question. That's not my question, Mr. Trayers.
What's that?
The question was...
This shows payments.
Just a second.
Okay,
First, I asked you the question. Did you make the payments in July, August, September, and/or October, which we're not quite finished with?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you make the payments? And is that going to demonstrate the payments to me? Can I see them, please?
Can I give you this as well to show that this says what I purchased the animal in full for yesterday as well?
That you what?
This is from that company stating that I purchased the animal yesterday for a certain amount as well.
I don't know. I don't know. Let me see.
Mike's only made 2 payments on this dog. Mike made a payment with a credit card on 8/25 of 2016 and then 9/21 of 2016. He has not been keeping up with the payments.
Just a second. Last payment made June 20th. Would you show me your check or any proof that you made a payment on June 20th? You. Check. Does that come from your bank?
This came from the financing website, so this was just the spreadsheet of everything. Like,
No. I want to see that you made the payment on June 20th. If you moved out on June 1st, I want to see that you made the payment on June 20th.
This is my bank statement right here, and it's highlighted.
Well, it looks like she made the payment on June 20th.
I could be, like I said, I could be.
She made the payment on June 20th.
Okay.
The first payment he made was on 8/25 of 16.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I took care of my dog. Like, I had an Instagram account for him. Like, I loved my dog. That was my child, you know. Mike didn't work.
So he stayed home with the dog?
He did. He stayed home with the dog because he was unemployed and because he would just sit around and be...
I'd be with the dog.
People, Judge Judy.
Jenna Khaleesi says ex-boyfriend Michael Trayers owes for the return of her dog and for false accusations of assault. Michael is countersuing for unpaid bills and the cost of the dog.
Now, did you take your name off the lease?
On the apartment lease?
No, on the dog lease. Did you take your name off the dog lease?
No.
So your name is still on the dog lease?
My name was never on the dog lease. Just my signature.
So you're not on the dog lease?
No.
So you're not on the dog lease, and you're not listed as the purchaser of the dog. Those are the facts. Now you want to tell me why you think that you're entitled to the dog.
I feel that I'm entitled to the dog because it was my child. It was my, I work, I go to school, I took care of my dog. Like, I had an Instagram account for him. Like, I loved my dog. That was my child. Mike didn't work. He didn't have any money, so I was making these payments.
So he stayed home with the dog?
He did. He stayed home with the dog, but he would be in the same exact spot.
You go to school. You work, you go to school. Dog's like your child, but he stayed home, according to you. I mean, I don't know if it's true.
Because he was unemployed and because he would just sit around and be...
I'd be with the dog. Miss Khaleesi, you have no case. Has been with him consistently. He is on the lease for the dog. That, by the way, that lease is sort of unconscionable.
The leasing company contacted me yesterday.
Listen to me. You can't tell me what they said. That's hearsay.
I have a new contract.
I don't care.
So they contacted me and
they can't give you a contract over a pet that you don't own.
They admitted that they were wrong.
Just a second.
That they filed it wrong.
You have no case. The leasing company cannot give you a contract to pay for a dog that doesn't belong to you. According to this yellow document that says the purchaser of the dog is the defendant. So you may make an end run around it, but he is the purchaser. It's just like I buy a car, and you are allowed to use that car. And you decide that since you were allowed to use it and you made some payments on the car, you want to own the car. So you go to the Department of Motor Vehicles and say, well, I want to show you that I made payments on this car and I should be on the title. They look at the ownership and who is the car registered to, and they say the registered owner of this car is Judy Scheindlin, not you. Well, you say, here is proof that I made some payments on the car. Motor Vehicles is still not going to let you be the title holder of that car, and they're not going to give you the...
Would you like to take a look at this?
No, I'm telling you what the law is. I don't care what some kook in a lending company tells you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He says that the bill has been fully paid. And Mr. Trayers,
yes,
I certainly expect that to be true, that the bill is not delinquent.
It says it on the credit report right there, too.
I don't care what the credit report says, sir.
Okay.
I asked you a simple question.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Jenna Khaleesi claims ex-boyfriend Michael Trayers owes for the return of her dog and for false accusations. Michael has a countersuit for bills and the cost of the dog.
Now, I'm telling you what the law is. He is the owner of the dog. And absent them repossessing the dog for non-payment, which they can if he doesn't pay, and then saying to you, we have now repossessed the dog for non-payment. If you want to pay off this, we will give you the dog because we have the legal right to come and claim the dog. That's a possibility. And that would mean that Mr. Trayer better make certain that there is no outstanding debt on this dog.
That's why the piece of paper you have actually...
He did owe money on the dog, and if they decided to repossess the dog, then they would say, well, I'm going to sell it or whatever. And I certainly know that Miss Khaleesi wants it, so I'll offer it to her first if she wants to pay off this note. But they can't make you the owner of the dog. They can't. The dog looks very happy. He was happy to see you. Was happy to see you. Was this a new boyfriend?
No.
No? Just friend?
Best friend of 8 years. He witnessed pretty much everything that happened in our relationship.
I don't care what he witnessed. I don't care that you had a fight. I don't care that you went over with the police to try to get the dog. I don't care if he blocked you in. I don't care.
The new contract that they emailed to me said that they were giving me the title of the dog. That they...
Listen to me. They can't give you the title to the dog. They have to give him notice that they are going to come and repossess the animal. Do you understand? If they do it, and he says that The bill has been fully paid. Mr. Treyers,
Yes, Your
I
Honor.
certainly expect that to be true.
It is.
That the bill is not delinquent, because it would be sad.
It says it on their credit report right there, too.
I don't care what the credit report says, sir.
Okay, I apologize.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, she can get the dog if they come and take the dog from you with a marshal. Do you understand that?
Yes, that's correct.
Right?
Yes.
Do you live at the same place?
I do.
That's on these contracts?
Yes.
Great, so they know where to go. Perfect. Very good. And at that point, if you are delinquent in the payments, Ms. Khaleesi will then be in a position to pay off the contracts and get the dog.
I'm more than well aware, yes, Your Honor. I said I'm more than well aware, yes, Your Honor.
You are?
Yes.
Okay. That's it. We're done. If that happens, the dog can be yours. Otherwise, I certainly suggest that if you want a pet, you go out, get one. We're done.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
We were off and on till July. I was seeing another girl.
Because he's holding it over me because he wants me to get back. He wanted to get back together.
She started messaging that other girl Facebook.
He just says that he wants to get back together.
They started talking to each other. Then she broke into my house and stole my dog.
The police got involved because I found out that my name was all over that contract and that Mike has been lying to me about everything.
I called the police because she broke into my house, stole my dog.
And the police told me that I needed to take this to civil court.
And then I had to go outside and she physically assaulted me.
I went over there because I used to live there. So I met up with Mike to show me the paperwork, and he didn't show me the paperwork that had my name on it.
You know, I tried to actually share the dog with her and be a nice guy.
And
she didn't want to. She wanted to make it personal.
So I contacted the police, I contacted a lawyer, and I tried to get my dog back.
No way. I'll say that very lightly. There's no way in hell that she is going to see this dog.
And he's ill fit to take care of the dog.
I just appreciate Judge Judy doing her job.
You purchased a lottery ticket. Lo and behold, you won. What did you do next?
Celebrated.
A couple's lucky streak came to an end.
I told Dave, someone claimed our ticket. Somebody stole our ticket.
And that's how we get to the defendant who cashed your lottery ticket.
But should they have taken their chances with the judge?
My father-in-law contacted me one morning saying, hey, I won a lottery ticket.
Your father-in-law's a liar. And so are you.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
David and Kathleen Purcell are suing 22-year-old Sean Linwood for stealing their winning lottery ticket.
Order. All rise.
That's case number 250 on the calendar in the matter of Purcell versus Linwood.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks have...
It's a lottery ticket.
Correct.
Where did you purchase it?
A bar next to our home.
And where is that?
In Sandy, Oregon.
When did you purchase it?
February 20th, 2016.
How much did you pay for the lottery ticket, and what were the prizes?
We paid $20 for 20 games. It was an 8-spot Keno ticket.
Have you played this particular lottery before? And it's an Oregon lottery.
Yes, and yes, we have.
Did you ever win before?
Yes.
And prior to this ticket, how much had you won before?
We won one for $600 once.
And that's the only time?
No, we've won a couple for about that amount.
A couple for $600?
Yes.
So it more than paid for itself?
Yes.
I assume. That's
Yes.
why you keep playing. Lucky people.
Yeah, we've lost a few, too. We've lost a few,
Oh,
too.
I can imagine. People usually only talk about their wins.
Absolutely.
So you bought this lottery ticket, and lo and behold, you won. How much did you win?
$1,750.
And you found out that you won how?
Well, my husband went and checked the Did You Win machine, and it said, you're a winner, please see your retailer. So he brought it up to the bartender, who is our witness, Tria, and she scanned the ticket. Now, if you win over $600, it doesn't tell you immediately how much you won. You have to go back and check the numbers, and then you can find out how much you won. But we had hit 7 out of the 8 numbers, celebrated. And then the next day, I went and got a claim form, which you can get right there at the saloon. And I brought it home, and Dave, my husband, filled it out the next day.
Listing your name, your address?
It was in my name. He put the claim form in my name. He even took a picture of the ticket. We put it in the claim form and sent it out the next day.
And you have a picture of the ticket?
Yes.
Correct.
And then what do? They send you a check?
Yeah, you send it into Salem, Oregon, and it usually takes about 3 days to get it back.
And it didn't come back?
It didn't come back.
And you began investigating, and you had the picture of the ticket with the numbers.
Yeah, we waited 2 weeks that they tell you to wait. On the 15th day, I called down there to Lottery and gave her my last name and the numbers. I said, we didn't receive our money. Well, they didn't have any of our information. So I told Dave, someone claimed our ticket. Somebody stole our ticket. So that's when I put in a public records request through the Lottery and received his information.
Okay, and that's how we get to the defendant who cashed your lottery ticket.
Correct.
Okay. First, I'd like to see a photo of the ticket.
He has it on his phone that is actually date stamped. I have a picture of it here, but if you'd like to see it with the date on it,
I would.
That's the picture of the ticket, and then he has it on his phone also. That was taken in.
Got it. Thank you.
We also have our claim form. If you'd like to see that.
I would. As a matter of fact, I'd like to have it up here.
You'd notice the date. It's the 22nd of February.
Okay. Did you contact Mr. Linwood personally?
I contacted him through Facebook.
And did he respond?
Yes, after a couple of attempts.
Okay. And what did he say to you when he responded on Facebook?
I'd be glad to show you that.
I'd like to see it.
I draw your attention to the last few.
I'm going to read them all.
Yeah, because he does change his story a couple of times. Okay.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Linwood?
I drive forklift, I do retail, and I do warehouse work.
Let's try to get one cogent story, sir.
Okay.
On what date did this lottery ticket come into your possession?
It had to have been February 27th or probably the beginning of March.
And how did it come into your possession?
Came into my possession, my father-in-law at the time, he contacted me one morning saying, hey, I won a lottery ticket. He said, well, could you help me out? It's unsigned. Can you turn it in for me? Because if I turn it in, I'm afraid that child support will take most of it. And I said, yeah, sure.
Stand up. What do you do for a living?
I'm a well driller.
What's your last name?
Richard.
On what date did this lottery ticket come into your possession?
It was on a Friday night. I was at a bar called the Country Corral.
You go to the bar often?
No, I played video poker that night.
Is this bar near to where you live?
Close, yes.
You never know where I'm going to be going, Mr. Richard.
Right.
Do you understand?
I got you.
So it's close to where you live, and you've lived at this address for how long?
Probably 2 months at the time.
Why 2 months?
Because I relocated.
With whom did you relocate?
My daughter and my son-in-law.
So the three of you moved into this place together. Am I understanding that you moved into this new place 2 months before, so that would have been in December, with the defendant and your daughter?
Correct.
You see how you don't know where I'm going. So you understand that?
Yes, I do, Your
Yes,
Honor.
you do. So now you're at a place with Mr. Linwood, and Mr. Linwood just told me that he got a call from you. Now he lives with you. Why do you think that I would believe him? He would call you instead of discussing it with you when he saw you at home. Why do you think that, Mr. Linwood?
Well,
Get to think fast. Just tell me why you think that he would call you, and you would have a record of that, correct? On your phone log that he called you.
I do not, Your Honor. It was an old phone.
But why do you think he would call you instead of discussing it with you in person? Because clearly he wanted you to do something illegal, right? Right? If he was looking to avoid child support, he was looking to do something illegal, right?
Yes.
Isn't that something you would want to discuss in person with somebody rather than over the phone?
Absolutely, Your Honor.
So why would you think if he was living with you, he would discuss that with you over the phone? And by the way, where did you get the call?
I got the call. I was at my house, and
where was he?
He's not always at the house.
It's going to get better. I'm going to enjoy it better. All right. Now, Mr. Richard.
Your Honor.
Do you understand? This is not going to turn out well for you or for him, because I read his texts back and forth to the plaintiffs. And his texts back and forth suggests to me he clearly knew that he came into possession of this lottery ticket that did not belong to him. And you knew that if you were in, it belonged to you, because immediately what he said was, please don't go to the cops. I will have your money, please. And the first thing he said was that you gave him the lottery ticket as a gift.
As a gift.
As a gift. But then he said that you didn't give it to him as a gift. He said you asked him to cash it for you so that you could avoid child support. Which one do you think it is?
Gift.
It was a gift to him.
Yes.
Well, then he had the money, you see. Then 2 weeks later, 2 weeks later, he had the money. He said, I didn't spend most of it. I have $900. Then he said, I have $1,400. I have to wait until I get paid, but I'll get it all back to you. And then all of a sudden, your tone changed, Mr. Linwood.
Yes, it did, Your Honor.
And why did your tone change?
Your Honor, my father-in-law told me...
Your father-in-law is a liar. So he can sit down. Sit. And so are you. In a short space of 2 pages, you changed your story 3 times.
Yes, I did.
And you swore, and just a second, and you swore to me that he is a liar. Do you want to know why?
Why?
Because he just said to me that it was a gift to you. And your answer says he asked a sworn deposition because at the time he owed back child support, and he was afraid that his winnings would be taken away from him. Now, he just swore to me that he made this lottery ticket gift as a gift to you.
It was not a gift, Your Honor.
Well, so then you just called him a liar. So he's a liar.
Yes.
That's what I said. That's why I told him to sit down. You see, and you came together. And you two are so stupid you can't even get your stories together. You slept in the same hotel room last night and you can't get your stories together. They ought to give a prize for stupid. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $17.50. We're done.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I bought the ticket from somebody that was on the side view of a bar.
Why would you buy a winning lottery ticket off somebody unless it was acquired illegally?
I have no idea who this guy was.
It's too fishy. Why would you put yourself in that? They just thought they weren't going to get caught.
Regardless of a gift or whatever, they didn't sign the ticket.
I really have no hard feelings to Sean. I think he was kind of stuck in the middle of this thing.
So I decided to go ahead and buy it. It seemed legit.
The father-in-law, I'm not so sure.
And I'll double my money anytime.
I don't buy the story at all.
She said, quote unquote, we either think it's a lottery worker or a postal worker.
We couldn't get...
Well, I'm neither of those. I have no ties to those. So therefore, I did not steal it.
Low on the priority board, so I turned to Judge Judy and I got justice.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Brady versus Lindsay. Step forward.
Trudy Brady is suing 24-year-old Marasha Lindsay for an unpaid loan for a car down payment.
Miss Brady, you were working at a used car lot, is that right?
Correct.
How long have you worked there?
Since October 23rd of last year.
And on what date did you sell Miss Lindsay a car?
January 15th of 2016.
What kind of car did you sell her?
2006 Toyota Avalon.
And she financed it?
Correct.
How much did you sell it to her for?
$11,950.
And what was your commission on the $11,950?
Total commission that I would receive would be $559.40.
This is what your complaint is. Miss Lindsay didn't have sufficient funds to make the down payment.
Correct.
Is that correct?
No, ma'am.
You had sufficient funds to make the down payment?
That's how I got the car, Your Honor.
No, that's not my question.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
When did you total the car?
I totaled the car in April, Your Honor.
Very well, that's when your last payment was.
Well, Your Honor, when I told her I had totaled the car, she said that was fine.
I don't care what you're saying she said. You owed her $1,030.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Trudy Brady says Marasha Lindsay borrowed money for a car down payment and has not paid it back.
Now, Miss Brady says that she made a loan to you for part or all of the down payment. So my question to you is, you bought a car for $11,950. You had to put a certain amount down on the car in cash.
Yes.
How much was the down payment that had to be placed on the car?
$2,500.
How much money did you have?
$980.
Where did you get the rest of the money from?
Ms. Brady.
Your Honor, that's incorrect information.
I didn't ask you anything. How were you supposed to pay her back the $1,520?
In payments.
Starting when?
I got paid weekly, so as soon as I got paid again.
Okay. And you bought the car in mid-January?
Yes.
So you're supposed to start making your first payment to her a week later?
Yes.
Did you make it?
Yes.
How much was it?
I made payments in increments of $60.
$60 a week?
Yes, but it was also money taken out of my account that I have here. $309 and $206.
Taking out of your account was for the finance company.
No, it wasn't. It was for her. The finance company was a completely different company than the car dealership. But I have right here, it's exactly to that car dealership, not the finance company.
Well, this loan was not to the car dealership. This was a loan she made you personally.
To the car dealership. The 980 as well as the 309 and the 206.
That's all incorrect. Everything she said is incorrect.
It doesn't make sense to me.
It's not
I
going
have
to.
it right here.
Well, I'd like to take a look at it, what you have.
I also have the correct paperwork right here. This is the loan agreement. Here.
Select Motor Cars. Is that where you work?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what were these payments that were made to Select Motor Cars on February 16th of 2016, on January 19th of 2016, January 11th of 2016? Why in the world did she make a payment January 11th, 2016? She didn't even own the car then.
The correct bills, and I have the original receipts here. When she walks into my office to pay me, I write out a receipt right then because she's coming during when I'm at work. Her correct payments were on the 15th of January, February 13th, 26th of February, the 12th of March, the 27th of March, and the 29th of April.
I'd like to see
this is a summation.
You signed this document?
Yes.
And you signed that on the day that you purchased the car?
I'm not sure. I started signing
January
documents
15th.
Oh, yes.
She says that the only balance left was $1,030.
But, Your Honor, the balance keeps going up. The balance didn't go up until I totaled the car and found out that I had insurance, would be getting money back. That's when the balance started going up.
Just a second.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That's as clear as anything.
You know, if I myself had knowledge of that, I would have never signed that. Pay back 10% in a month, that's not even legal. I would have never signed that had I known what I was signing. I signed a lot of paperwork that she gave a lot of different details to.
That's your mistake.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Trudy Brady says Marasha Lindsay borrowed money for a car down payment and has not paid it back.
Now, do you have proof to me that you paid her back the entire amount of this loan, which was $29.70?
No, Your Honor, I didn't get receipts.
Well, if she was going to make this up, Miss Lindsay, she would certainly, since you signed a document that you owed her $2,790, she could just as easily have said to me that you owed her $29.70. She didn't. She said the only balance left is $1,030. When did you total the car?
I totaled the car in April, Your Honor.
Right, well, that's when your last payment was.
Well, Your Honor, when I told her I had totaled the car, she said that was fine. The payments were fine.
Just a second. I don't care what you're saying she said. You owed her $1,030. At the time you told the company pay you for the car?
They covered the total cost of my car, yes, Your Honor.
They did? Well, if they covered the whole cost of your car, then I assume you replaced the car.
No, Your Honor.
Why not?
Because they only paid off the car. I didn't have any money left over.
Well, then that's why you didn't finish paying her off, because this was a personal loan. Had nothing to do with the car dealership.
Well, Your Honor, originally she told me that there was going to be a discount on it. She had me write up a check saying that the check was voided, that she needed that for tax write-off purposes, that it wasn't due for me to sign back, and I don't know. Like, I don't know much about. I signed a bunch of papers that I don't know much about.
Well,
and that was included in the papers.
Pretty ridiculous to sign a lot of papers that you don't know anything about.
On my behalf. I take
but
that.
This is a very simple document. This is a very simple document. This says that she made a personal loan to you for the down payment. She made a loan to you so that you would have the money to put down on the car so that you could finance the rest. And you had insurance, so the insurance company paid off your car.
Well, Your Honor, that's not how it was told to me by Ms. Brady.
I don't care how it was told to you. You owe her $1,030, unless you can demonstrate to me that you paid her.
Your Honor, originally how it was told to me was what the finance company financed to me, that was part of my down payment. She told me to write a check that was voided, and that she would use that for tax purposes. And to pay whatever the finance company
Lindsay
didn't give
agreed
her.
to repay a personal loan of $2,700 with 10% interest rate, making it $970. That's plain English.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by. Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Now, the full amount is due by February 14th, 2016. I understand that if I do not repay this loan in full by the above date, which you did not, by the way, because she allowed you to continue to make payments, you say the last payment was in April.
Correct.
Despite the fact that you were supposed to have it all paid off in February. I understand that if I do not pay off the debt by the above date, which is February, Miss Brady may sue me in small claims court and or garnish my wages. That's as clear as anything.
You know, I would, if I myself had knowledge of that, I would have never signed that. 10%, pay back 10% in a month. That's not even legal. I would have never signed that had I known what I was signing. I signed a lot of paperwork that she gave a lot of different details to.
That's your mistake.
I'll take that negligence, but
No,
I would have never signed 10%.
But you
10% on a 1-month loan.
Well, it turned out to be not 10% on a 1-month loan. Right now, that amount is on a 7-month loan that you still haven't repaid.
Because I was taken advantage of.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,030. We're done.
Thank you, Judge Judy.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And on the next Judge Judy.
Some get clever.
It's the story. I'm sticking to it.
Liar, liar, pants on fire.
Others get hostile. I'm going to tell you what happened. Judge Judy gets the last word.
They don't keep me here because I'm gorgeous. They keep me here because I'm smart.
I'm very pleased with the judge's decision. It's a legitimate, wonderful company that I work with.
I would have never signed a 10% loan over a month loan. Like, that's crazy, 10% interest. I don't even think that's legal.
She was a type of person that tried to hustle me, contacted me, desperate to buy a vehicle.
Because I was desperate for a car, and
she knew what she was signing, the agreement. Nobody else would loan her the money.
What she was saying didn't match the paperwork, so of course.
I believe since she was out of the in the military, had honor.
I have a newborn child and I have a job. I need a car, so I took it.
And had a small child, was a single mother. I was trying to help someone.
It's very shady. It's very shady.
You can't trust everybody.
It was determined that we would not live together peacefully. Ms. Baker decided to lock me out of the apartment.
His former roommate tries to pass the buck.
My full defense is I'm not the landlord.
You were the one
tossed.
The furniture was the stuff that he left.
He actually left several items, like here's his remote.
This is not show and tell. Put that down.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
24-year-old Matthew Kearns is suing his former roommate, Shelley Baker, for the return of his belongings.
Order. All rise.
It's case number 266 on the calendar in the matter of Kearns versus Baker.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Mr. Kearns, how long were you and Miss Baker roommates?
Approximately 6 months, Your Honor.
Did you move into her home?
No, Your Honor.
She moved into yours? Or you moved in together?
The way that it happened, Your Honor, was I rented a two-bedroom condo with one of my friends at the time. About 3 months in, it was determined that we could no longer live together. The roommate at that time decided to just kind of pack up his stuff and move, leaving me to pay the full rent amount, which I could not do. The landlord gave me the ultimatum, basically, that I could either be evicted or pay the full amount, neither of which were. I have a friend, the friend was Miss Shelley Baker, who needs a place to stay, and if you allow Miss Baker to live with you, then you can resume paying the normal rent amount. So
why did you need a place to stay?
I was in between homes. I was actually homeless for about 7 days. I had collected about $1,900, and Denver is the rental market there is bad.
How do you know
I needed like $2,400, so I had moved all my stuff into storage, and then I was homeless for a few. And then Jerry is a good friend of mine, the landlord, who is my landlord also. And she said,
just a second.
To move in.
The landlord is not only a friend of yours, but was your landlord in another premise?
She is my landlord right now, Your Honor. I still live there, and Mr. Kearns doesn't live there.
Do you have a roommate?
Yes.
Mr. Kearns, at some point, things did not go well between you and the defendant. How much into her tenancy did that happen?
Very shortly thereafter.
As soon as she moved in?
I would say probably 2 weeks to a month after that, it was determined that we would not live together peacefully.
When did you start to live there?
January 2016.
Is that right?
Yes, that sounds about right.
And you started to look for a new place somewhere in February, sometime in February.
Very, very shortly after Miss Baker moved in.
Fine, okay. So your problem is that you property. That's what your lawsuit is about. And Miss Baker has a counterclaim. She says that you damaged her motorcycle. What was the date that you moved out?
I started moving on March 30th, continued moving on March 31st.
And you had paid March's rent.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. The agreement was that I would be out by midnight on April 1st, which I had planned to do. However, Ms. Baker decided to lock me out of the apartment.
How many trips did you make back and forth to get your property?
3 to 5, I would say.
Let's say 5.
Okay.
And you have a car?
Correct.
What items did you leave behind?
The largest ticket item is going to be my California King bed set.
California King?
Very large bed.
The large bed.
A bed?
Huge bed.
Very large bed.
Oh, a king bed.
I had a large leather sofa, a small leather sofa, a matching leather ottoman, a dresser, an entertainment stand.
Just a second. Okay. And do you acknowledge that the furniture was the stuff that he left? He took...
Yes, he just left the heavier items, the bedroom items, basically. The couch and everything is in the garage. It's not part of the house. We have a garage also, and the couch, like he's got the cushions, I've got the couch, so it's all out in the garage. There is some of those items in the garage still.
Which items are in the garage?
The couch, the ottoman, the love seat, those 3 items. I got another roommate. So he was out March 31st. I don't know where April 1st came from. It's
Okay.
March 31st.
Fine. So the only thing that you disposed of was the king-size bed.
That's incorrect. He actually left several items. Like, here's his remote.
Listen to me. Some things that... This is not show and tell. Put that
No,
down.
but I
Put
mean-
it down. I'm talking. Pay attention.
Okay.
You say that you have everything with the exception of the king-size bed in your garage.
No, that's incorrect.
Then I misunderstood you. What do you have in the garage?
In the garage, I have miscellaneous kitchen items. I have...
Where is the sofa?
It's in the garage.
Well, where is the dresser?
That was removed out of the bedroom. I just needed to clear the bedroom for a new roommate.
Just a second. Shh. Just look at me.
Okay.
Bedroom. Where is the entertainment center?
That was removed when I had to get a new roommate.
When you say removed, what did you do with it?
Actually, at the instruction of the landlord.
No. You can't tell me what...
It was removed so I could allow room for a new roommate.
Miss Baker, I want you to listen to what I'm saying to you. Where did you remove it to?
Outside.
So you put the entertainment center.
Right.
What kind of an entertainment center was it?
I don't... It's
what kind
just
of
a
an
bedroom.
entertainment center was it?
It was similar to the dresser. It was black metal with a diamond plate design. The entertainment stand is obviously much larger than the dresser. It's meant to accommodate, a TV as well as a stereo and some add-on items like DVD
Now, I
player.
want you to tell me, sir, you pay rent on the 1st of the month, correct? So you paid March's rent.
Correct.
And you made 5 trips back and forth to pack up. You had found a new apartment?
Correct.
And I would assume that by March 31st, you had made arrangements for a truck or a U-Haul to come back to pick up your large ticket items.
That is very correct.
And what happened when you got there with the U-Haul truck?
Miss Baker locked me out.
Now, what U-Haul place did you actually rent the truck from?
U-Haul, moving and storage of Green Mountain.
May I see, is that your contract with them?
It's an invoice.
I'd like to see it. Perfect. So I want you to tell me what happened when he arrived with the U-Haul.
He's under the interpretation that the door was locked. I'm actually deaf in one of my ears, Your Honor. I literally have a 75% loss in this ear. It's important what I'm going to say. So after he left, he didn't tell me he was getting a U-Haul that day. It was not vengeful. I actually fell asleep. He had been moving stuff for 2 days. So he must have knocked at the door. And I know, if it doesn't happen very often, but I won't hear an alarm if I fall asleep on that ear. And I do have the doctor record that shows like a 75%
I'm not
loss.
interested in your doctor's record. March 31st, had the locks been changed, Mr. Kearns?
No, Your Honor. What happened was there were 2 doors. There was a standard door and then like a glass screen door. I did not have the key to the glass screen door, and that is the one that Miss Baker locked.
Why? Why didn't you have a key to that screen door?
If I recall correctly, there was no outside lock. But regardless, the fact remains I was never given a key to that screen door. I did contact the landlord at this point. The landlord lived 3 hours away from us, and she informed me that if I were
you can't, just a second.
Sure.
You can't tell me what the landlord informed you. Had you locked the screen door?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, you had absolutely no right to get rid of his stuff. He did present to me evidence that he had gotten a U-Haul on the 31st.
I would like to... Really, my full defense is I'm not the landlord. I only
I
did
don't
what
care.
was
You
instructed.
were the one who put the stuff outside.
After the landlord did her 10-day notice pursuant to the lease.
You were the one who put the stuff outside.
At the instruction of the landlord,
I
Your
don't
Honor.
know that. Is the landlord here?
I can
don't know
show that I rented the space right afterwards.
I don't care.
Or that removed the stuff
I don't
because I
care.
needed to get another roommate
Well,
at the instruction of the landlord. Okay.
I know you keep saying it, but I'm totally ignoring it.
I'm not the landlord.
I'm totally
I wasn't even his roommate.
Listen to me. I'm
Okay.
totally ignoring it.
I know that.
Good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He purposely damaged my Harley Davidson, and I have the estimate. That's
Right.
all I'm interested in.
I have an email with
Good.
the landlord that states that... I'm just saying that states
I don't
that
want you to
he would
just
be
say,
back.
I want you to tell me about the Harley.
And later today,
The plaintiff knew that there was cigarette smoke in the house.
What you said to him was, as an accommodation,
Yes.
we will smoke outside.
Yeah, we'll limit the smoking.
And he says that didn't happen.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Matthew Kern says his former roommate, Shelley Baker, owes for the return of his belongings. Shelley is countersuing for property damage.
Now, all I want is the bills for the furniture that you are claiming is worth $4,000. Okay, and where did you purchase the sofa from, sir? Replace them?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have the bills for replacing them?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see them. They looked as if they were perfectly reasonable condition. Okay, great. The entertainment center, you didn't replace it, I assume.
The entertainment center was replaced. That is included in there.
In the $1,200?
Yes, from the
In the
American
$1,200.
Furniture, yes,
All right, that comes to $2,509. Both of those items, including the bed, the replacing of the
I
bed.
still have the couch and the love seat and the ottoman of that
Where are
damages. They're in the garage.
Except he replaced them.
He never came back to get his stuff.
$2,509. You can keep the couch. Now,
can I...
let's get briefly to your alleged counterclaim.
Okay.
You want to tell me what you're suing him for?
Well, Your Honor, the reason he was evicted to start with, I would like to present this supplemental report. It's important. I was scared for my life.
Listen to me carefully.
How do I present this report to you?
Your counterclaim is that he purposely damaged my Harley Davidson, and I have the estimate. That's
Right.
all I'm interested in.
Okay.
Tell me when he did that and under
In
what
the 2 days that he did the 5 trips back and forth, and I allowed, he was in there and had free will, he told me he would be back with the U-Haul on his landlord that states that... I'm just saying that states
I don't want you to just say, I want you to tell me about the Harley.
I'm going to, Your Honor. In between the 2 days that he had moved and the next day off, I went out to the garage and every single one of my boxes was dumped upside down in the garage. All my personal pictures, all my antique dolls, all of my electronics had been pushed off the table. It was in complete shambles. And I go, oh my God, he literally trashed all of my stuff. And at that point, I became very fearful. And I told him that he needed to get
Would you tell me about the Harley, please?
Yep. He told me that he needed to get a civil assist, is what I told him after he trashed my stuff. The Harley was knocked over. My pictures, my artwork was ruined.
Objection, Your Honor.
Just a second.
See?
All I want to know is about the Harley, because that's what's here in your counterclaim.
There was damage, Your Honor, to my Harley Davidson.
Show me. And the estimate for repair.
I don't have either one of those.
Well,
Here's
then
the
your
estimate
counterclaim's
for repair.
dismissed.
I apologize.
Just go.
Gosh, I don't know. Thank you.
I'm telling you.
Okay, right on. Thank you. And I also have a text thing that shows that Matt texted.
I would like to see photographs of the Harley.
Okay. Here you go. I didn't do it. I stopped myself. That is not the damage, Your Honor. I don't have that piece of paper in front of me.
Well, that's all I'm interested in seeing.
Right there's the estimate that will tell you, I guess.
The count
I
of
can get
claims
it for you.
dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $2,509. We're done.
Wow.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
The landlord asked me to get him out.
Judgment was fair today.
I fell asleep on my good ear.
She locked the glass door.
I did not hear the door knock. He did not tell me that he was getting a U-Haul that day and moving out, and I fell asleep.
For at least another good 5-10 years, I think I'll be living by myself only.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Cuevas versus Cacciatore, step forward.
John Cuevas is suing his former landlord, David Cacciatore, for the return of his rent and security deposit.
Do you live with him?
Yes.
Great, stand up. Tell me your last name.
McRory.
How long have you lived with Mr. Cacciatore?
Almost 3 years.
Do you smoke?
Yes.
Does Mr. Cacciatore smoke?
Yes.
Now you can sit. Mr. Cuevas, you rented a room in the house that Mr. Cacciatore shares with Miss McRory.
Yes.
You gave them $1,200 in both rent and security.
Yes, ma'am.
And you moved
August.
of this year.
Yes.
Did you see the room advertised on the internet?
Yes. Craigslist.
Where had you lived previous to that?
I lived with my girlfriend, but she had to move because of the fact that her brother died of cancer. She had to move in with her mother. And I was looking for a place, and I seen that, and since I was unemployed at the time, I checked out Craigslist, and I found it. It said $500, and when I pulled up, it went up $100 because I guess it was because of my car, you know.
So you saw the room that they were renting?
Yes.
Did you have any other conversation with them about the room?
No, Your Honor.
You moved out on the 22nd.
The next day, yes.
Tell me why you moved out.
Well, we had an agreement on smoking outside. He said he would smoke outside.
So you were aware that they smoked?
Right.
Who did you have the conversation with about smoking outside?
With David.
That'd be me, Your Honor.
With him?
Yes.
Did he tell you also that his girlfriend smoked?
Yes.
And what did he tell you?
Said that they would make it accommodate for me to, you know, that they'll smoke outside from now on, which was crock-a-donkey dust.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He doesn't look like the kind of man that would take his TV, computer, clothes, hanging them up in the closet, getting it all ready, and then the next day say, well, you know what? I would like to do...
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. John Cuevas says his former landlord, David Cacciatore, broke his promise not to smoke in the house. He is suing for the return of his rent and security deposit.
Okay, so when you moved in your things, tell me what you moved in, Mr. Cuevas. You moved...
I moved in my clothes, my computers,
Did you
my
set
TV.
up the computers?
I didn't get to...
Did you set up the TV?
Yes.
So your clothes, your TV, your computer, anything else?
Everything
that you had?
I got
in your
everything. The next day, I got everything out.
But I'm talking about what you moved in. Clothes, computer, and TV. Anything else?
That was it.
You moved out the next day because...
Because it was overwhelming smoke.
Did you speak to Mr. Cacciatore about it?
Yes.
What did he say?
Said he would make a letter for his in-laws that happened to be there. He said they were just going to be there for a couple of days, but, you know, I didn't think that was going to happen.
Just a second. Did his in-laws smoke?
Yes, they did. Like chimneys.
Okay. Now, Mr. Cacciatore, what Mr. Cuevas wants is he wants his money back.
I understand, Your Honor.
And clearly, you had a conversation with him, because I read your answer. Clearly, you had a conversation with him about smoking.
Yeah, he knew I smoked, right?
Just a second.
Sure.
Clearly, you had a conversation with him about smoking. Thing to have a conversation about unless it was important to you. Do you smoke? Yes, I do. Your girlfriend smoke? Yes, she does. And if it's offensive to you in the house, then you don't rent the room.
Exactly.
Unless some assurance has been made to you that the smoking will be outside.
I agree 100%. Basically, the plaintiff knew that there was cigarette smoke in the house. While we were writing up the agreement, the contract, and so forth, I was actually smoking.
No, I understand that. He
Yes.
said to me that he knew that you smoked.
Yeah.
That what you said to him was, as an accommodation,
Yes.
we will smoke outside.
Yeah, we'll limit the smoking.
As an accommodation,
Yes.
you're not going to limit your smoking. When you're home, you'll go outside if you're going to smoke.
Correct, Your Honor.
And he says that didn't happen when he moved in. You had your in-laws over, and they were smoking.
Well, my in-laws, they lived in the living room area at the time being because they were only there till their house got built. And they actually set up a little ashtray outside. There's a patio that leads right out their door, and they were smoking outside.
He gets his money back.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us.
Now, he made it clear to you what his needs were. You assured him that his needs would be met. He moved his property. I mean, he doesn't look. You haven't been psychiatrically hospitalized in the past 6 months, have you, Mr.
No,
Cuevas?
no, Your Honor.
You're not on any psychotropic medication, are you, Mr.
No, Your
Cuevas?
Honor. I'm not.
You're not receiving any disability for
No,
any
Your Honor.
psychiatric
No.
illness. You see, he doesn't look like the kind of man that would spend hours loading his stuff into his car, picking up his TV, undoing his computer, taking his clothes, taking his TV, computer, clothes, hanging them up in the closet, getting it all ready, and then the next day you say, well, you know what? I would like to do this all over again. I'm going to take my clothes out of the closet, unplug the TV from the wall, schlep it out to my car, unless you told him that he, in effect, would not be bothered by your smoke. Do you understand?
I understand completely.
Great. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $1,200. We're done.
Step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
She was supposed to fix the car. Did you move the car to the street?
Yes, when I was done fixing it.
And the city took it away.
It was not operable. I have pictures right here where you took every...
The plaintiff knew there was cigarette smoke in the house.